implementation of the Pact on Migration and Asylum, and leads the work in the fight against trafficking in human beings and smuggling of migrants, cybercrime, counter-terrorism, and hybrid attacks. Beyond policy making, Commissioner Brunner actively promotes stronger partnerships between the EU and key regions, dialogue and cooperation on migration governance, security, and human rights. Ms. Angela Martins, Acting Director of the Department of Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development at the African Union Commission, representing the African Union Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development. In her capacity, Ms. Martins contributes to strengthening health systems, humanitarian coordination, and social protection mechanisms in Africa, in line with the AU Agenda 2063, and ensuring that Africa's response to emerging crises remains people-centered, resilient, and future-oriented. Dr. Michael Spindelegger, Director General of the International Center for Migration Policy Development, ICMPD. Dr. Spindelegger has brought his extensive experience in internal affairs to ICMPD, strengthening its role as a key partner in migration policy, capacity building, and regional cooperation. Under his leadership, ICMPD has worked closely with governments and institutions to develop balanced, sustainable, and effective migration policies, ensuring that migration is managed in a way that benefits countries of origin, transit, and destination. Now, I ask you to kindly join me in welcoming His Excellency Dr. Badr Abdel Ati, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration, and Egyptian Expatriates of the Arab Republic of Egypt, to deliver his speech. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, dear Karim. Excellencies, honorable ministers, and heads of delegations, good morning to all of you. I wish to welcome all of you to the new capital administrative city here for the second Ministerial Conference on the Khartoum Process. I now wish to announce the commencement of the conference. Excellency Dr. Magnus Brunner, Commissioner of the European Union for Internal Affairs and Migration, Ms. Angela Martins, Acting Director of the Department of Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development at the African Union Commission, Dr. Michel Spindelegger, the Director General of the International Center for Migration Policy Development, honorable ministers, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to Cairo for the second Ministerial Conference of the EU Horn of Africa Migration Route Initiative. This meeting marks a key milestone in the Khartoum process after its inception over a decade ago in Rome in 2014. It's an occasion to celebrate the fruits of our collaboration. It's also an opportunity to collectively chart the course ahead. Today, we are reminded that while migration is a complex issue, it offers a valuable opportunity to bolster development in countries of origin, transit, and destination when governed effectively. That is what the Khartoum process truly represents. Egypt has been privileged to chair this process twice over a 10-year span, underscoring our firm conviction of its principles: mutual understanding, balanced partnership, and shared responsibility. It stands as a unique platform for political cooperation, yielding tangible outcomes through dialogue, knowledge sharing, and support in key migration areas. Its impact is real, translating cooperation into meaningful initiatives that improve the lives of our peoples. During Egypt's chairmanship this past year, we sought to build on past achievement and adapt to new challenges. We sought to build on past achievement and adapt to new challenges, while ensuring the relevance of the process in addressing the evolving challenges and trends in migration. Our priorities spanned the 5 domains of the Joint Valletta Action Plan of 2014 and incorporated cross-cutting themes such as climate change and forced displacement, including through creating unlivable conditions, as what we see now in Gaza, which has been a deplorable and recurring theme in our region during the past few months. Our work also focused on legal pathways and skills mobility, climate and displacement, combating trafficking in human beings and the smuggling of migrants, responsibility and burden sharing, as well as return and reintegration. We have here in Egypt placed a strong emphasis on synergies and complementarity with our sister process, the Rabat process, through the first joint high-level meetings which brought together senior officials from 55 countries last October. Looking ahead, it's vital to assess the process progress and the future, taking stock of past lessons, achievements and challenges in order to better shape its future. In this regard, I commend the efforts of our senior officials and focal points in crafting the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan. These documents mark a pivotal moment and a significant breakthrough. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on its part, Egypt today is a home of over 10 million guests, including migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers from 133 countries. To treat our guests well, we have adopted an out-of-camp policy that allows them freedom of movement and access to all services, including government-subsidized ones, despite the restraints on national resources and the increased number of new arrivals. To further strengthen our approach, we are working with the United Nations, civil society, and other partners on updating policies and legislation, including the recently adopted asylum law, for a more effective and integrated governance of migration. In the same regard, Egypt has spared no effort to combat irregular and illegal migration over the last years. It also continues to implement a holistic approach when dealing with migration and combating illegal migratory flows, including through addressing root causes, promoting legal pathways, advancing inclusive sustainable development, enhancing border management, raising awareness amongst our people. Since September 2016, no single boat carrying illegal migrants come from our coastal cities. Furthermore, as a proponent of the Global South, Egypt continues to champion the importance of international cooperation as well as responsibility and burden sharing in order to tackle migration collectively. We also continue to call for international support to build the capacities of developing countries, addressing economic inequalities within these states, promoting socio-economic development and job creation, aiming at strengthening the resilience of host communities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to seize this opportunity to warmly welcome Sudan, represented by my dear brother, His Excellency Foreign Minister Dr. Ali Yusuf Sharif, back to the process as of January 2025, after an absence since 2021. With Sudan's return, our family is whole again. I also extend gratitude to my dear friend, His Excellency Minister Ahmed Muallim Fiqi of Somalia, for his country's role in stepping in during Sudan's absence, a gesture of true Africa solidarity. Before I conclude, I wish to express our appreciation to His Excellency Mr. Francois Noël, the Minister of State for Interior Affairs of France, who will take over the chairmanship. I also wish to thank the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Interiors and Migration for their participation today, as well as our partners from the European Union, Dr. Magnus Brunner, the African Union and other international organizations, including my dear sister, Dr. Ghada Wali, representing the UNODC. Your presence and engagement have been instrumental to the process success. I would like also to thank my dear friend, Dr. Spindringer, the Director General of the ICPMD, and the team of the ISMPD for your steadfast support to the Khartoum process since the very beginning. ICMPD's contribution has been a vital source of support to the dialogue cooperation within the Khartoum process. As the first decade of this process comes to a close, let us continue this wonderful work in the same spirit of diligence, dedication, and cooperation over the next decade and beyond, ensuring that no one along the EU Horn of Africa migration routes is left behind. I thank you. Allow me now to give the floor to Dr. Magnus Brunner, Commissioner for Internal Affairs and Migration of the European Commission. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, ministers, first of all, Your Excellency, thank you very much for having us, for hosting us here in this beautiful country, beautiful city, beautiful surrounding. And to begin with, on behalf of the European Union, I wish to express my great appreciation for the important work done by you personally, but by Egypt altogether, presiding over the Khartoum process, especially on very important topics like skills mobility, anti-smuggling initiatives, and other important topics. I think your leadership has strengthened the process, definitely. by making it even more relevant and also more effective. So thank you very much for that. And now we have the Cairo Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan. You were mentioning that, so we can all see the fruits actually of your work and the success that you have guided us to. So Excellency, thank you very much again for your work and all you did. But today we're also handing over the presidency. You were mentioning that to France. So allow me to wish to you, Minister Bouffet, and the incoming French presidency every success. You can, of course, count on us. You have set, I'm sure you're going to set a very ambitious agenda, like we had in the past, and you can, of course, count on me personally, but also on the European Commission of full support for the work that, of course, lies ahead of all of us. But today also marks another very significant milestone. This is the first ministerial meeting since the launch of the Khartoum process in 2014. With so many of you here today, we have, I think, a great opportunity actually to deepen our relationship, and I'm looking very much forward to that. But even beyond that, deepening the relationship, the fact I think that we are here today also reflects something very important about the bigger changes facing us. The world order around us is changing in a very rapid way, and on the one hand, the global dimension is becoming more and more important, driven also by technological breakthroughs or global issues like climate change, like pandemics we recently had. And on the other hand, some of the older models of international cooperation are definitely under pressure as we transition further into, I would say, a multipolar world. And this makes cooperation of the kind we are engaged here more important than ever before. In fact, it is actually vital for all of us. And therefore, I'm confident that this will not be, of course, our last ministerial meeting. On the contrary, we need to build on this model and give it a second decade even more successful than the first. As European Union Commissioner for Migration, I say that migration remains one of the big opportunities of our days. And yes, I said opportunities deliberately and not threat, because if we get it right, migration can definitely help fill skills gaps. It can generate positive spillovers for the European Union and for its partners in Africa, and it can forge lasting bonds also between our nations that promote peace, that promote economic cooperation. And it, I think, can generate growth both for the countries of origin and for the destination countries. Promoting labor mobility means combating relentlessly the smuggling of migrants, which is the basic enabler of irregular migration and a constant source of suffering for countless victims actually every year. And we can do this better only if we work together, also in formats like the Khartoum process here. And we are planning the second international conference of the Global Alliance Against Migrant Smuggling towards the end of the year. And I do hope, of course, to see all of you there, along with many more leaders from around the world. I have no doubt that the conference will actually serve as a catalyst for stronger engagement and also closer cooperation. And at the same time, we continue to tackle more and deeper crises and conflicts. We will continue to pursue our humanitarian work with consistency and also commitment, whatever the future might bring. We can face the challenges and make the most of the opportunities, but only if migration is managed well. For the European Union, we still have work to do, of course, our pact on migration and asylum, a very ambitious and I would say fundamental work and reform for migration and asylum management, as you know, has been adopted and is now in the implementation phase. By June 2026 we expect it to be fully operational, setting also the framework for developing the European Union's international migration cooperation. And this is why good regional and bilateral cooperation with our partners in a whole-of-route approach, as you mentioned, Your Excellency, is probably the most important component of our future work. And in this changing world, the European Union, of course, recognizes the need for solid global partnerships. We need partnerships based on mutual respect, on dialogue, and also on mutual benefit, of course, as part of the Khartoum process on the one hand, through our connections with the African Union, or simply through more and also better bilateral dialogue. So Africa and Europe have, of course, always been neighbors and will always be neighbors, and it's up to us to make sure we stay good partners also. It is up to us to tackle the challenges that lie ahead, the common challenges we face all together, and to do it together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brunner, for your insight, for your statement, and allow me again to congratulate you on your recent appointment. And I fully agree with you on what you have mentioned, that migration should be an opportunity rather than a threat. And we are confident that you will spare no efforts in your new role as Commissioner for Internal Affairs and Migration of the European Union. And now I would like to give the floor to my sister, Dr. Angela Martins, representative of the African Union. You have the floor.
Thank you, Excellency Minister, for giving me the floor. Allow me to stand on already established protocols. It is with great honor that I take this opportunity to address this important meeting, the second Ministerial Conference and the 10th anniversary of the Khartoum Process. On behalf of Her Excellency Ambassador Amadou Amwa, Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development of the African Union, I extend sincere appreciation to the Arab Republic of Egypt for the exemplary leadership and gracious hospitality in hosting this important event. Today, we stand not merely at a milestone, but also at a crossroads in our shared journey. The past decade has yielded valuable dialogue, but the future demands transformation. Africa envisaged a new paradigm of migration governance, one where human mobility becomes a powerful engine for continental prosperity rather than a symptom of distress. The African Union's Agenda 2063 charters our course towards an integrated continent where borders facilitate exchange rather than impede progress. This vision requires us to transcend conventional approaches to migration. We must architect systems that harness the immense potential of our people's movement while safeguarding their fundamental rights and dignity. The complex interplay of conflict, climate disruption, and economic disparity continues to reshape migration patterns across our regions. These challenges will not yield to timid responses or fragmented initiatives. They demand bold, coordinated action anchored in shared responsibility and mutual respect. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Africa's young population represents our greatest resource, our wellspring of innovation, enterprise, and cultural vitality. When properly channeled, this demographic dividend can revolutionize development across both our continents. The African Union Commission calls for strategic investments in opportunity creation that enables our youth to thrive in their homelands while contributing to global progress through regulated mobility. It is important to note that both our diasporas constitute a powerful bridge between our two continents, transferring knowledge, directing investment, and fostering innovation. We must therefore systematically integrate these transnational communities into our development frameworks, recognizing their unique position to accelerate progress towards our shared objectives. The pathways for regular migration must be expanded and reimagined. Traditional models that extract talent without reciprocity are unsustainable. We advocate for secular migration frameworks that build capacity, transfer skills, and strengthen institutions across participating nations. Africa stands resolute against criminal networks that exploit vulnerable migrants. Yet, enforcement alone cannot address the complex drivers of irregular movement. We must synchronize security measures with humanitarian and protection interventions, as well as development initiatives, into a comprehensive governance framework. The Cairo Declaration and Action Plan before us represent not endpoints, but launching pads for a decade of decisive action. Their implementation will require unprecedented collaboration, resource mobilization, and political will. The African Union Commission pledges its unwavering commitment to translating these aspirations into tangible outcomes that improve lives across our shared regions. As we chart our course forward, the African Union Commission stands ready to lead this transformation in partnership with all stakeholders represented here today. Together, we can create a future where migration enriches rather than diminishes, unites rather than divides, and fulfills rather than frustrates the aspirations of the people. Finally, as I conclude, allow me to once again, on behalf of Her Excellency Ambassador Ahmad Toum Amwa, the Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development of the African Union Commission, to express our sincere appreciation to the Arab Republic of Egypt for the exceptional leadership demonstrated and efforts deployed during their chairmanship. The African Union and the African Group applauds your efforts, and it has been an honor working closely under your leadership. To France, the incoming chair, the African Union welcomes your chairmanship and expects our full commitment and support and cooperation in your endeavor. I thank you.
Thank you so much, dear sister, dear Dr. Angela, and allow me to give the floor to Dr. Michael Spindleger, the Director General of the ICMPD. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Minister Dr. Abdelati, Commissioner, distinguished ministers, heads of delegations, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you to the second Ministerial Conference of the Khartoum Process on behalf of ICMPD. Let me start by expressing my special thanks and sincere gratitude to our host, the Arab Republic of Egypt, to you, Mr. Minister, and your team, for leading the way to this ministerial conference and for providing strong and far-sighted guidance during the negotiations of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and Action Plan. Both the Ministerial Conference and its two core documents represent major milestones in the evolution of the Khartoum process, and both would not have been possible without your steadfast support and relentless work. The Cairo Ministerial Declaration and Action Plan are the first of their kind for the Khartoum process. In its early days, the Khartoum process focused on the fight against trafficking in human beings and smuggling of migrants. Since the Valletta summit in November 2015, the scope of the Khartoum process expanded to the 5 domains of the joint Valletta Action Plan. The Cairo Ministerial Declaration and Action Plan closes a chapter of more than 10 years of joint and fruitful partnership and open a new chapter for the dialogue. This new strategic framework will provide a solid foundation for even deeper collaboration, adopting a whole-of-route approach on an even broader scope of topics such as forced displacement or climate change. It will also provide a foundation for discussing more deeply the issues of labor migration, collaboration on skills development, and the involvement of economic priorities and the private sector in cooperation on migration. Here too, opportunities for collaboration across regions and continents are emerging today in ways we have never seen before. We should take advantage of them to meet the challenges of demographic and economic changes, but also to have an important tool at hand for better addressing irregular migration. This year is a year of anniversaries. We celebrate 10 years of the Khartoum process. We celebrate 10 years of the joint Valletta Action Plan. And we celebrate 25 years of the African Union-European Union partnership, which was established here in Cairo during a summit in April 2000. This partnership forms the foundation of the joint work in the framework of the Khartoum process and has clearly demonstrated its potential to drive impactful change in the field of migration and beyond. The Cairo Ministerial Declaration and Action Plan, which we discuss today, build upon the excellent work that has already been accomplished. But they will also lead the way to a cooperation that is even deeper, even more comprehensive, and even better coordinated. And this is exactly the cooperation we need when we want to make our collective actions successful in face of a phenomenon that is as complex and multifaceted as international migration. ICMPD has the honor and the privilege of supporting the Khartoum process, its governing bodies and its partners since its early days in 2015. I sincerely hope that our work as a neutral broker has made its contribution to the success of the dialogue. I want to assure you of our full commitment to continue this work also in the future, and the implementation of the Cairo Declaration and Action Plan is our priority. I look very much forward to this next and important phase of our dialogue and the opportunities it will bring. Here I also want to express my sincere gratitude towards the European Union for its continued and generous support to the activities of the Khartoum process, and to the African Union Commission for the excellent cooperation. Finally, I want to warmly welcome France as the incoming chair of the Khartoum process. We are fully convinced that the French chair will play a paramount role in the implementation of the Declaration and Action Plan, will continue to build upon the achievements that have been made and will reinforce the collaborative spirit of our joint platform. I am certain that this ministerial conference will serve as a key milestone in our journey, deepening our partnerships, fostering constructive discussions and taking important steps forward. At ICMPD, we hope that our work has made a meaningful contribution to the achievements of the Khartoum process, and we will continue to do so in the future as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by thanking once more our gracious host, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the African Union, the European Union, and all Khartoum process partners for their continued support and cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear Dr. Spindleger, for your statement. And allow me again to welcome you and your team and to thank you for making this event possible. Dear Excellencies, as we have concluding the first part of our opening session, I wish to give the floor back to our MC. You have the floor, Karim.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the next session will reflect on the past decade of the Khartoum process, highlighting key achievements and challenges. We will now watch a short retrospective video showcasing key milestones of the last 10 years. After the video, Ambassador Dr. Wael Badawi, Deputy Assistant Minister for Migration, Refugees and Combating Human Trafficking at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Egyptian Expatriates, and Chairperson of the Khartoum process, will highlight major developments of the process since its inception.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to stand before you today at the second Ministerial Conference of the Khartoum Process. Launched as a platform for political cooperation at the Rome Ministerial Conference on the 28th of November 2014, the core mission of the Khartoum Process was to foster collaboration on migration-related issues along the route between the Horn of Africa and Europe. The Rome Declaration defined the objectives of the Khartoum Process to be combating trafficking in human beings and smuggling of migrants. Only a year later, the Valletta Summit of November 2015 expanded the Khartoum Process's role, entrusting it alongside the Rabat Process, which focuses on the Western Mediterranean route, with the responsibility of monitoring the implementation of the joint Valletta Action Plan. This trust reaffirmed the credibility of our process and our shared commitment. Over time, our discussions grew beyond their initial scope, embracing the 5 pillars of the joint Valletta Action Plan: addressing the development benefits of migration and the root causes of irregular migration, legal migration and mobility, protection and asylum, prevention against irregular migration, fight against migrant smuggling and trafficking in human beings, and return and reintegration. While the 5 domains remain our guiding areas of focus, more recently, the Khartoum Process has further broadened its agenda to include other pressing global issues, such as climate change and pandemics and their impact on migration and displacement, shared burden and responsibility, as well as the humanitarian development peace nexus. This evolution underscores the ability of the process to adapt to new realities and remain relevant to evolving challenges to migration governance. At its core, the Khartoum Process is built on principles of partnership, cooperation, inclusivity, and pragmatism. It embodies whole of society and whole of government approaches, recognizing that effective migration policies demand collaborative frameworks that engage all stakeholders. In fact, our whole of route approach has enabled us to evolve and expand our membership over the years, and thus Libya and Uganda have joined as full members in 2015 and 2017 respectively. Only by working together can we navigate the complexities of migration, share burdens and responsibilities, and ensure that no one is left behind. Over the past decade, our efforts translated into tangible achievements. As highlighted in the retrospective video, the Khartoum Process has held 31 technical meetings and 29 steering committee and senior officials meetings, bringing together more than 4,000 delegates, experts, and participants. These exchanges have been invaluable in fostering dialogue, sharing best practices, and shaping policies that drive meaningful change. Furthermore, I'd like to emphasize synergies with the Rabat Process, our sister dialogue. On several occasions, the Khartoum Process has met jointly with the Rabat Process at technical and senior officials level to exchange on common challenges, strengthen cooperation, and align efforts towards shared objectives. These events are not just meetings. They are catalysts for action, paving the way for new initiatives and strengthening cooperation even beyond the dialogue. Initiatives like the Regional Operational Center in Khartoum, the ROC, and the Better Migration Management Program, BMM, stem directly from the recommendations that came out of such meetings. The steering committee has also grown from 5 members per region at its inception to 6 in 2024, reflecting the increasing engagement of our partners, and the senior officials have just endorsed yesterday the updated rules of procedures of the steering committee to reflect the current state of play and of the governance structure of the Khartoum Process. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today we mark yet another milestone in the history of the Khartoum Process, on more than one account. It is the first time our ministers meet to assess the achievements and the challenges that the Khartoum process has faced since its inception, and chart the way forward with the imminent adoption of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan. These strategic documents will guide our future cooperation, reinforcing our commitment to addressing migration challenges through a global and comprehensive approach. Today is a very special day too, as it is the first time the chairmanship is handed over at ministerial level, thus giving even more visibility to the process. But our journey does not end here. Moving forward, we must redouble our efforts to strengthen partnerships, enhance cooperation, and address all dimensions of migration governance. The Khartoum process stands as a symbol of solidarity, progress, trust, and collective action. With your unwavering support, we will continue to build on our achievements and forge an even stronger path ahead. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I extend my deepest gratitude to all members of the Khartoum process. Allow me also to address a very special thanks to the previous chairmanships, the United Kingdom, Ethiopia, Italy, Eritrea, the Netherlands, South Sudan, and Germany for building the blocks needed to reach this stage. Your steadfast dedication, active participation, and collaborative spirit have been instrumental in bringing us to this pivotal moment. We also wish all the best of success to France and all future chairs to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Wael Badawi, for your informative presentation, which sheds light on the many achievements of the Khartoum process and provide us with an insight into the optimal path ahead. Excellencies, we shall now begin interventions by Khartoum process member states, to be followed by heads of delegations of international organizations. Interventions shall be made in accordance with precedence and only for 3 minutes each. I kindly invite you to try and to abide by the time limit as much as possible in order to be able to conclude our session on time today. And now, allow me to give the floor to His Excellency and my dear brother Ahmed Muallim Fiqi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Somalia. Dear Minister, dear brother, you have the floor.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellency, my dear brother, Dr. Badr Abdelati, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Egypt, Honorable Ministers, distinguished representatives from the European Commission, African Union Commission, and ICMPD, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Federal Republic of Somalia, I wish to express our sincere appreciation to the Republic of Egypt for its effective and timely chairmanship of the Khartoum process, and for taking the initiatives to convene this important ministerial conference, the second ministerial level conference since the launch of the Khartoum process in 2014 in Rome. Over the past decade, the Khartoum process has made landmark progress. It has remained both relevant and responsive to the dynamic realities of migration, and it continues to serve as a vital platform for constructive dialogue, partnership, and actions between countries of origin, transit, and destination. Somalia, a country of origin, transit, and destination of mixed migration flows, we do reaffirm our deep commitment to the Khartoum process. In a spirit of African solidarity and responsibility, Somalia accepted to temporarily replace Sudan on the steering committee since October 2021 to help maintain the continuity and stability of the process during the challenging period. With the return of our brother Sudan, we now fully support the restoration of its seat on the steering committee and welcome our Sudanese brothers and sisters back. Sudan is a country I hold in deep affection and esteem, deserving of every respect and appreciation in international forums. As we pray that God safeguards Sudan and blesses its people with peace and prosperity. In alignment with the Cairo Action Plan, we reaffirm our commitment to adopting a whole of government and whole of society approach in the governance of migration and forced displacement. This includes strengthening national coordination mechanisms on migration to ensure inclusive, rights-based, and gender-sensitive policies. We emphasize the need to address the root causes of irregular migration through investment in livelihoods, resilience, and climate adaptation strategies, as well as promoting regular migration pathways. We must also underscore the need for approach to migration that involves enhanced cooperation, focusing on migrant protection, return and reintegration, and dismantling criminal networks. Finally, we commend Egypt for organizing numerous substantive activities during its chairmanship, which addressed migration from a comprehensive and inclusive perspectives, grounded in clear priorities and anchored in partnership, mutual respect, and balance. These are the principles that must continue to guide the Khartoum process. We also would like to thank the European Commission, the African Union Commission, and ICMPT for their work in support of the Khartoum process. Somalia looks forward to supporting France's chairmanship and working with all member states and partners to further advance the objectives of the Khartoum process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, the Foreign Minister of Somalia. And now I would like to give the floor to His Excellency, our dear brother, Dr. Ali Yusuf Al-Sharif, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sudan. You have the floor.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Allow me at the outset to express our thanks and gratitude to Your Excellency, Dr. Badr Abdel Ati, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Egypt, for inviting us to participate in this ministerial conference of Khartoum Process, which coincides with the 10th anniversary of the launch of the Khartoum Process, after an absence of more than 3 years for my country, in spite of the fact that Sudan was a founding member of the process, and the process is named after its capital, Khartoum. I take this opportunity to thank the government of Egypt for hosting millions of Sudanese refugees and migrants, particularly after the outbreak of the war in my country. I would also like to thank our sister country of Somalia for holding the seat in our absence. The phenomena of irregular migration has become a serious and complex international challenge, whether for the exporting countries or receiving countries, on the basis of its negative social, economic, and legal repercussions on both parties. And therefore, it cannot be addressed by taking security measures only, without taking suitable development and economic measures. Therefore, it is necessary to emphasize that in this regard, the importance of addressing the multiple root causes of irregular migration is in a comprehensive and sustainable manner. I would like to convey our thanks and gratitude for the positive supporting role played by neighboring countries, hosting Sudanese refugees and facilitating their access to services and treating them as guests. We also would like to remind these countries that their international obligations to provide more assistance and services and all possible facilities and not to put any obstacles in the event of voluntary return during the upcoming period. The Sudanese government is currently continuing its efforts with all its institutions to restore security and stability and ensure the provision of various services, especially in the sectors of water, electricity, health, and education, as vital and urgent sectors during this period to encourage and stabilize returnees, i.e. voluntary returning to the Sudan. The government of Sudan launched a roadmap to achieve peace and stability and to establish democratic transition to the post-war phase, which is based on the formation of a government of technocrats and competencies headed by a civilian prime minister after launching of an inclusive, comprehensive national dialogue leading to free and fair elections. I would like to emphasize that Sudan's security is an integral part of regional and international security. In this regard, the government of Sudan welcomes the regional and international positions opposing forming a parallel government in exile in accordance with their commitments to preserve sovereignty and independence and unity and territorial integrity of Sudan. Mr. Chairman, finally, I would like to affirm our commitment and welcome the recommendations, trends, and priorities contained in the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan as two important documents of the output of the Second Ministerial Conference of Khartoum Process, which aims to develop measures that preserve lives and dignity of the displaced migrants and refugees. I also would like to congratulate Egypt for the wise chairmanship of Khartoum Process and hosting this Second Ministerial Conference in a most challenging year. And our thanks and gratitude also are extended to the International Center for Migration Policy and Development, ICMPD, for its contributions to the Khartoum process since its inception in 2014. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your intervention. And now allow me to give the floor to His Excellency Ali Al-Abid, the Minister of Labor and the Rehabilitation of Libya. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Excellency. In the name of God, Your Excellency, fellow ministers, the European Commission for Human Affairs and Immigration and High Representative of the European Commission, the African Union Commission for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development and High Representative of the African Union Commission, estimated members of delegation. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the brotherly Arab Republic of Egypt for courteously hosting this important meeting and for its commendable effort in organizing it in such an honorable and professional manner. I would also like to extend my thanks to the International Center for Migration Policy Development and the European Union and the African countries for their continued cooperation and supporting for the Khartoum process, which has proven to be a vital platform for fostering political and humanitarian cooperation among countries along the migration route between Africa and Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of irregular migration remains one of the most pressing and shared challenges of our time. It is a multifaceted phenomenon that requires comprehensive and integrated responses that address the root causes and offer safe and legal alternative to those complete to leave their homes in pursuit of the better life. Libya, situated at the crossroad between Africa and Europe, is actually a world of the scale and complexity of the challenge, be it from humanitarian, security, or social perspectives. Despite the internal difficulties our country continue to face, Libya has made a suitable effort in managing irregular migration. We firmly believe that regional and international cooperation is the only viable path to taking this issue effectively. In this context, the Khartoum process offers a crucial opportunity for joint continuation, experience sharing, and constructive dialogue between countries of origin, transit, and destination, including both African nations and the European Union. As a major transit country, Libya is confronted daily with immense pressure as a result of migration flows across our territory. This pressure weighs heavy on our limited resource and infrastructure. While we remain committed to fulfilling our responsibility, we categorically reject any proposal or policy emitted at these statements of migration on Libya's soil. Such approaches are incomplete with our nation relation and don't serve the interests of our people. We underscore that necessity of addressing the root causes of irregular migration by supporting sustainable development in the countries of origin, creating employment and education opportunity, and combating profiling, instability, and conflict. We also call for enhanced security cooperation among the countries concerned, particularly in combating human smuggling and trafficking networks that exploit the affluent migration for illicit gain. In conclusion, I reaffirm Libya a full competitive to continue its engagement with partners in the Khartoum process. We hope that the Cairo plan of action will serve the future strengthened cooperation, foster tangible outcomes and advance our shared objective, culminated in the adopting of the ministerial declaration that reflects our collective will. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear Minister. And now allow me to give the floor to Her Excellency Marjolein Faber, the Minister of Asylum and Migration of the Netherlands, and we hope to abide by our 3 minutes time frame. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the floor. Honorable colleagues, it's a great honor to speak at this conference. I would like to thank the government of Egypt for hosting this important event. The hospitality we have received reflects the spirit of partnerships. Furthermore, I commend Egypt for their leadership in facilitating this ministerial declaration. The document reflects that migration cooperation should be based on a broad and comprehensive agenda, addressing all relevant migration topics, from addressing root causes to return cooperation. As a Minister for Migration in the Netherlands, I agree with Commissioner Brunner that it's important that Europe engages in this process on a political level. While we have made progress over the years, we must acknowledge that irregular migration still poses a serious challenge. We cannot afford to allow it to continue in an uncontrolled manner. It is crucial that we take decisive action to regain control over migration flows. In order to achieve this overall goal of safe, regular and orderly migration, cooperation is the key. One of the forces behind irregular flows is migrant smuggling. It is a criminal industry that preys on the vulnerable for profit. Our goal is to break the supply chain and disrupt the networks behind it. This is an ongoing battle and shared responsibility of countries of origin, transit and destination. Equally important is return and reintegration. The return of those residing illegally in our countries is a cornerstone of effective migration policy. Failure to address return undermines our immigration systems and erodes public support for both regular pathways and the hosting of refugees. At the same time, we must ensure that reintegration programs provide sufficient support to returnees. Strong international cooperation is crucial in tackling this challenge. Managing irregular migration is an important objective of our Cabinet. We search for broad, mutuality, beneficial and equal partnerships. The Khartoum Process has proven to be a valuable platform for cooperation and sharing best practice. Let us continue to build on this success, strengthening our effective efforts to manage migration effectively and tackle its root causes. Honourable colleagues, I am looking forward to further developing our partnership in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And now allow me to give the floor to His Excellency Mavrodis Yords, the Minister of Migration and Asylum of Greece. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Chair, and dear colleagues, Excellencies. First, let me start by thanking Egypt for successful organization of this conference and for its leading role in promoting the Khartoum Process. We do acknowledge the importance of the Khartoum Process in facilitating dialogue and promoting cooperation and migration between countries of origin and destination in the Horn of Africa. And we are pleased to see that both the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan, which will be adopted today, align with our policy priorities and objectives, reinforcing our collective commitment to address migration challenges in a spirit of cooperation and solidarity. Both documents place greater emphasis on cooperation on returns, while also underlining the need to reduce and prevent illegal migration, combat migrant smuggling and human trafficking. We are actually facing a paradox here, which means that in my country we do need labor force, we have gaps in the labor market. So we have to have legal routes for migration. And on the other hand, again in my country, illegal migration creates huge challenges and tensions. So this is indeed a paradox, and I think that the international community and the Khartoum process, and we here, we have to give convincing answers to our people regarding those two issues. So those are actually my main priorities in Greece, but also in the European Union, and I have to thank Commissioner for his role, important leading role in this common effort in the European Union, but also in the relations that we are cultivating with other countries, especially in the Khartoum process. So main priorities of Greece are, and those are the main pillars, addressing illegal migration and combating migrant smuggling, increasing returns, which we consider to be a critical element for the efficiency and the very credibility of the migration and asylum system, organizing legal migration in a rational and effective manner, and we do have, dear Chair, to work a lot on that. We have a good example, and we have a bilateral agreement on that with Egypt, but we need to make it work, and we need to make it a role model on how this type of agreements could find and create legal paths for all those people who want to come and work in our countries that desperately need workers, and on the other hand, as I said, suffer from illegal migration. And of course, re-examining aspects of the asylum framework and process to ensure that protection is offered to those in need, while also preventing abuse. So in addition, we're currently working on the upcoming implementation of the EU Pact on Migration and Asylum, quite a challenging task, but I think we will manage and handle that, paying particular attention to solidarity and fair burden sharing, as well as border procedures and returns. And as for the external aspects of the Pact, it is reflected in cooperation frameworks such as the Khartoum process. Deepening collaboration with countries of origin and transit in key areas and addressing the root causes of irregular migration is indeed of crucial importance. Concluding, managing migration requires a comprehensive approach aimed at strengthening security at external borders, and I think Europol had a very good success today, arresting 7 smugglers and a huge trafficking organization, but this is a continuous fight. Combating migrant smuggling networks, shaping a robust asylum system, implementing an effective return policy while also promoting a well-managed and sustainable legal migration policy, including through bilateral agreements. I have already spoken about the agreement we have with Egypt. So I think we have a challenging work ahead of us, and of course, let me say that we are confident that the Khartoum process will continue to provide such a framework. And let me finish by wishing the French presidency of the Khartoum process a great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Minister. You are absolutely right. We do have bilateral agreements with your great country, with Cyprus, with Germany, and with others, and this is a role model to be followed between European Union and the Horn of Africa and the African continent. We have in our neighborhood, in Egypt, in our continent, pretty young society, while Europe is suffering from aging society. So we can benefit from each other based on win-win situation. And now allow me to give the floor to Her Excellency Katja Kuhl, the Minister of State at the Federal Foreign Office of Germany. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdelati. Good morning, Ministers, Excellencies, dear colleagues. First of all, on behalf of Germany, I wish to congratulate the Egyptian chair on his leadership and for organizing this conference of the Khartoum Process on a ministerial level. Over the past 11 years, we have addressed migration and forced displacement with more structured and comprehensive approach while strengthening cooperation between Europe and Africa. Today, we face a massive and urgent challenge: the devastating refugee crisis triggered by the conflict in Sudan. Millions have been displaced, seeking safety in neighboring countries that are already under immense strain. Egypt, Chad, South Sudan and others are bearing a heavy burden while international humanitarian efforts struggle to keep pace. We need to increase pressure on the warring parties to silence the guns and urge third parties to refrain from fueling the war. To better coordinate international efforts, Germany will co-host a Sudan conference together with the UK, France and the EU in London on April 15. Ladies and gentlemen, the Global Compact on Migration emphasizes safe, orderly and regular migration as a shared responsibility. Germany is committed to these principles and has taken concrete steps to expand legal migration opportunities. Key initiatives include our Skilled Immigration Act and the Opportunity Card, making it easier for professionals from non-EU countries to come to Germany. We have also improved our visa procedures. And last year, the European Union adopted the Pact on Asylum and Migration, which will lay the foundation for fair responsibility sharing and mutual solidarity. This pact is not just about managing migration within Europe, it is also about strengthening partnerships with countries of transit and origin. We all share the objective of reducing irregular migration, but while doing so, we must never lose sight of our fundamental obligations under international refugee law, the Geneva Refugee Convention, and the respect for human rights. When people flee war, persecution and disaster, they do not leave their dignity behind. We must ensure adequate protection for refugees. This means working closely with UNHCR, ensuring that every refugee is registered, improving reception conditions, and building a fair and efficient asylum system. Registered refugees need access to health services and education. Unfortunately, this is often not yet fully implemented, so more work needs to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, climate change as a driver of migration has become increasingly urgent over the past 10 years, and it was a priority during our chairmanship. In this regard, I would like to highlight the historic signing of the Kampala Declaration on Migration, Environment and Climate Change in 2015. And in closing, I would like to thank the Egyptian chair once again and ICMPD for making the Khartoum process a success. As we now look forward to the French chairmanship, I am confident that our shared commitment and continued collaboration will further strengthen the bonds between our continents. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Minister. And now allow me to give the floor to His Excellency Matteo Piantedosi, the Minister of Interior of Italy. You have the floor, Minister.
Grazie, ringrazio soprattutto il governo egiziano per aver organizzato questa conferenza ministeriale del processo di Khartoum che vede riunite ministri ed altri rappresentanti europei ed africani.
I would like first to thank you, the Egyptian government. Maybe. Okay. I would first like to thank you, the Egyptian government, for organizing this ministerial conference of the Khartoum process, which brings together ministers and high-level representatives from Europe and Africa.
La continuità e l'espansione del dialogo tra Europa ed Africa sono del resto un pilastro irrinunciabile per l'Italia, che sostiene con convinzione piattaforme di dialogo regionale come il processo di Khartoum, e rimaniamo infatti convinti che l'Europa non possa fare a meno dell'Africa e viceversa.
The continuity and expansion of dialogue between Europe and Africa are an essential pillar for Italy, which firmly supports regional dialogue platforms such as the Khartoum Process. We remain convinced that Europe cannot do without Africa and vice versa.
In quest'ottica il processo di Khartoum, avviato nel 2014 proprio in occasione di una conferenza ministeriale che si è svolta a Roma, ha aperto nuove prospettive alla nostra collaborazione lungo direttrici che vanno dal contrasto ai trafficanti alla protezione dei rifugiati e fino alla migrazione legale. La dichiarazione ministeriale del piano di azione che verranno adottati oggi sono la dimostrazione tangibile di una condivisione di valori e di linee di intervento che orienteranno la cooperazione nei prossimi anni.
In this spirit, the Khartoum Process, launched in 2014 during a ministerial conference held in Rome, has opened new avenues for our cooperation, ranging from the fight against human trafficking to the protection of refugees and the promotion of legal migration. The Ministerial Declaration and the action plan that will be adopted today are tangible proof of our shared values and strategies, which will guide our cooperation in the years ahead.
Una delle principali sfide comuni che siamo chiamati ad affrontare è certamente quella di contrastare l'odiosa attività criminale portata avanti dai trafficanti di esseri umani. Sono convinto che una politica comune rigorosa possa giovare tanto ai paesi di destinazione quanto a quelli di origine e di transito che troppo spesso vedono la propria sicurezza e stabilità interna pregiudicate dalla minaccia di questi criminali senza scrupoli che sfruttano soprattutto le aspettative delle giovani generazioni. Flussi incontrollati del resto possono anche aprire la strada ad infiltrazioni terroristiche con la possibilità di azioni violente e destabilizzanti sia in Europa che in Africa.
One of the main challenges we face together is certainly the fight against the heinous criminal activities carried out by the human traffickers. I'm convinced that a strong common policy can benefit both destination countries and countries of origin and transit, which too often see their security and internal stability jeopardized by these unscrupulous criminals, who primarily exploit the hopes of younger generation. Uncontrolled flows, in fact, may also pave the way for terrorist infiltration, creating the risk of violent and destabilizing actions both in Europe and in Africa.
Nei miei frequenti contatti con i colleghi di altri paesi ho riscontrato piena condivisione su queste analisi ed una disponibilità trasversale all'impegno per migliorare gli strumenti di contrasto alle reti criminali che gestiscono i traffici di migranti e proprio per questo come Italia abbiamo affiancato ai tradizionali modelli bilaterali che mantengono la loro indiscussa efficacia anche nuovi formati di dialogo in ambito regionale. E mi riferisco in particolare all'eccellente lavoro che stiamo portando avanti assieme ad alcuni paesi nordafricani con un focus sul quadrante del Mediterraneo centrale.
In my frequent contacts with my colleagues from the other countries, I have found full agreement with these assessments and a broad willingness to work together to improve the tools used to combat the criminal networks behind migrant trafficking. And for this reason, Italy has added to traditional bilateral models, which remain highly effective, new regional dialogue formats. I refer in particular to the excellent work we are doing together with some North African countries, with a focus on the central Mediterranean region.
In questi formati non ci siamo concentrati solo sui classici strumenti di cooperazione di polizia, ma abbiamo condiviso un approccio di più ampio respiro. Abbiamo infatti bisogno di circuiti di mobilità governata che impediscono ai trafficanti di gestire i flussi, ma consentano di creare insieme percorsi migratori legali e sicuri. E sono quindi lieto che sia nella dichiarazione finale che nel piano di azione venga giustamente valorizzato non solo l'aspetto del contrasto ai flussi illegali, ma anche quello della migrazione legale, da intendere come processo ordinato e governato dagli Stati di destinazione e di origine.
And within these formats, we have not only focused on traditional police cooperation tools, but we have also shared a broader, more comprehensive approach. We indeed need regulated mobility frameworks that prevent traffickers from controlling migration flows and instead allow us to create legal and safe migration pathways together. I'm therefore pleased that both the final declaration and the action plan rightly highlight not only the fight against illegal flows, but also the promotion of legal migration as an orderly process governed by both destination and origin countries.
Governare la mobilità vuol dire infatti non chiudere i canali d'ingresso, ma gestirli in maniera proficua per tutti gli attori, a partire dagli immigrati stessi, che solo in questo modo possono evitare viaggi pericolosi ed accedere ad effettivi percorsi di integrazione nei paesi di destinazione. Ed è per questo che ritengo che gli interessi dei paesi di origine, di quelli di transito e destinazione siano sempre più convergenti, poiché non può esserci beneficio per alcuno, se non per i trafficanti, da processi di immigrazione fuori controllo. Ed un esempio concreto di questa convergenza l'ho potuto riscontrare nel mio lavoro di Ministro dell'Interno sul terreno dei rimpatri volontari assistiti dai paesi di transito a quelli di origine.
Managing mobility does not mean closing the doors to migration, but rather managing the flows in a way that is beneficial to all parties involved, starting with the migrants themselves, who can thus avoid dangerous journeys and access real integration opportunities in the countries of destination. This is why I believe that the interests of origin, transit and destination countries are increasingly converging, as there is no gain for anyone except for traffickers from uncontrolled migration. A concrete example of this convergence can be seen in my work as Minister of Interior on assisted voluntary returns from transit countries to countries of origin.
Il modello dei rimpatri volontari assistiti, che già di suo un modello virtuoso, assume ancora maggiore valore aggiunto se impiegato dai paesi di transito dei flussi, come stiamo cercando di fare con diversi paesi nordafricani. Questi interventi aiutano il migrante a tornare nel proprio paese, ma non lo abbandonano al momento del rimpatrio, fornendo un'assistenza che torna a beneficio anche del paese di origine. D'altro lato, i paesi di transito vedono allentata la pressione sui propri territori e percepiscono il sostegno dei paesi di possibile destinazione dei flussi impegnati in progetti di rimpatrio volontario assistito sui loro territori. Chiaramente in questa filiera anche i paesi di destinazione beneficiano di un'indiretta riduzione della pressione dei flussi illegali che vengono intercettati lungo il percorso migratorio prima dell'ultima tappa del loro pericoloso viaggio.
The model of assisted voluntary returns, which is already a virtuous one, becomes even more valuable when implemented by transit countries, as we are trying to do with several North African partners. These interventions help migrants return to their countries, but do not abandon them upon return, providing support that also benefits the country of origin. On the other hand, transit countries benefit from reduced pressure on their territories and feel supported by destination countries that are actively engaged in assisted voluntary returns projects on their soil. Of course, in this chain, destination countries also benefit from an indirect reduction in pressure from illegal migration flows intercepted along the route before the final and most dangerous section of their journey.
Un altro esempio win-win è quello della creazione di percorsi di formazione lavorativa nei paesi di origine prima dell'ingresso legale in Europa, e su questo terreno nell'ultimo anno stiamo sperimentando positivi modelli con le nostre associazioni dei costruttori e dell'artigianato che curano la formazione prepartenza dei lavoratori che poi sono inseriti nei settori dove maggiore è la carenza di manodopera nel nostro Paese.
Another win-win example in the creation of vocational training paths in the countries of origin before legal entry into Europe. In this regard, over the past year, we have been piloting promising models with our associations of builders and artisans who provide pre-departure training to workers later employed in sectors with severe labor shortage in our country.
Ho fatto due esempi di quello che noi intendiamo per governare il fenomeno migratorio, proprio per dimostrare che per ottenere risultati concreti l'approccio più efficace è quello che riesce ad andare oltre gli interessi particolari attraverso interventi di mutuo beneficio per i migranti e per gli Stati coinvolti. Si tratta di una strada che auspico possa continuare ad essere valorizzata nei prossimi anni anche nel quadro del processo di Khartoum. Grazie.
I provided two examples of what we mean by managing migration in order to show that the most effective approach is one that goes beyond narrow interests, through actions that bring mutual benefit to both migrants and the states involved. This is a path that I hope will continue to be promoted in the coming years, also within the framework of the Khartoum process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Minister, for your valuable intervention. And I would like now to give the floor to His Excellency François-Noël Bouffet, the State Minister of Interior of the Republic of France. And we wish you all the best for your upcoming chairmanship of the Khartoum process. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Monsieur le Président Abdelati, chers collègues, je souhaite tout d'abord adresser tous mes remerciements aux autorités égyptiennes pour l'accueil. Cette conférence ministérielle vient parachever une année de présidence dynamique pour laquelle je souhaite, au nom de mon pays, renouveler toutes mes félicitations. L'adoption de la déclaration ministérielle et du plan d'action du Caire permettent de mieux refléter les évolutions qu'a connues ce dialogue au cours de la dernière décennie. Alors que nous célébrons les 10 ans de ce dialogue, je crois que nous pouvons collectivement nous réjouir des développements que cette instance a connus.
Dear Minister Abdelati, dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to thank the Egyptian authorities for their warm welcome. This ministerial conference is a culmination of a dynamic year of presidency, for which I would like to offer my congratulations once again. The adoption of the ministerial declaration and the Caire action plan better reflect the changes that this dialogue has undergone over the past decade. As we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the dialogue, I believe that we can collectively rejoice in the developments that this forum for dialogue has undergone.
Elle a permis de conduire un dialogue régulier, nourri et franc entre pays d'origine, de transit et de destination. Elle a permis de partager et rapprocher les vues sur les enjeux communs, y compris dans leurs dimensions les plus sensibles. Enfin, elle a permis de servir le cadre de référence pour une coopération renforcée, notamment grâce au soutien financier de la Commission européenne et des différents bailleurs internationaux.
This dialogue has enabled, first, to conduct regular, in-depth and frank dialogue between countries of origin, transit and destination. Second, to share and reconcile views on common issues, including their most sensitive aspects. And third, to serve as a reference framework for enhanced cooperation, in particular through the financial support of the European Commission and various international donors.
À titre d'exemple, je souhaiterais mentionner le projet ROC, Regional Operational Center in Khartoum, qui, avec l'appui de l'opérateur français Civipol, a déjà permis de démanteler une dizaine de réseaux, d'identifier plus de 7600 victimes de trafic de migrants et de traite des êtres humains et d'arrêter et de poursuivre près de 400 trafiquants. Le projet entrera bientôt dans sa troisième phase.
For instance, I would like to mention the ROC project, the Regional Operational Center in Khartoum, which, with the support of the French operator Civipol, has already helped to dismantle a dozen networks, identify more than 7,600 victims of migrant smuggling and human trafficking, and arrest and prosecute nearly 400 traffickers. This project will enter soon its third phase.
Notre engagement commun en faveur de migration sûre, ordonnée et régulière apparaît plus important que jamais face au bouleversement du monde et alors que les migrations irrégulières continuent à être à l'origine de multiples drames et situations de détresse.
Our shared commitment to safe, orderly and regular migration is more important than ever. given the upheavals in the world and the fact that irregular migration continues to be the cause of numerous tragedies and situations of distress.
Le texte que nous adoptons ce jour témoigne de cette volonté d'approfondir nos efforts selon une approche globale qui permettra d'agir sur tous les champs de la coopération migratoire. C'est ce nouveau cap que la France entend incarner au moment de sa présidence. Merci à tous.
The documents we are adopting today translate this ambition to step up our efforts through a global approach into concrete action in all areas of migration cooperation. This approach will guide France during its presidency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now I invite the Honorable Minister Colm Brophy, Minister of State with responsibility for migration at the Department of Justice from Ireland. You have the floor, sir. Please try to, as much as possible, to stick to the 3 minutes time. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Abdullahi, ministers, colleagues, Your Excellency, esteemed representatives of the institutions and organisations that are here today. I'm honoured to take part in marking 10 years of the Khartoum Process and to reaffirm Ireland's commitments to the principles established by the Rome Declaration in November 2014. I also welcome the opportunity to chart the course ahead for this vital dialogue and to declare Ireland's support for the goals set out in the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Action Plan. Now, for most of our history, since the independence a century ago, Ireland has actually been shaped by outward migration, compounding the loss of a quarter of our population through hunger and emigration during a series of famines that took place in the 1800s. It is really only in recent decades that Ireland has become a destination country for migration, benefiting from the rich contributions that so many migrants make to our society and our economy. At the same time, we are faced with the global challenges associated with more people being on the move than at any time since the end of World War II. So Ireland has opted into the EU Pact on Migration and Asylum and is committed to delivering a migration model that we want to see as a firm, fair, efficient and sustainable for those seeking international protection. Ireland also fully supports enhancing regular migration pathways as an alternative to irregular migration. We are involved in several talent mobility pilots and recognise the mutual potential of schemes that both help us meet our labour market needs and contribute via the circular migration to skills developments in the countries of origin. We especially value cooperation in this multilateral context, as well as through regional and bilateral measures. In particular, Ireland is committed to addressing the root causes of migration through development cooperation and support initiatives right across the Horn of Africa that target food insecurity, target poverty, climate change and conflict. We are working with partner countries and organisations to improve access to education, healthcare and economic opportunities, particularly for women and girls, with the aim of reaching those furthest behind first. This cooperation is crucial to supporting sustainable, resilient and stable societies and reducing, therefore, the drivers of migration. As a former Minister for Development Aid and Diaspora, and now as a Minister for Migration, I am particularly conscious of the nexus between these domains and the added value that there is to a holistic approach. In this regard, the Khartoum Process stands, I believe, as a unique and invaluable platform to address the complexities of migration between the Horn of Africa and the EU in a collaborative, cohesive and comprehensive way. Having joined the ICMPD last year, Ireland looks forward to being an active and engaged partner in the years to come. I would also obviously like to thank and congratulate our hosts, Egypt, not only on having taken the initiative in organising this second ministerial conference on the Khartoum Process, but also for your excellent stewardship. And I wish France, the incoming chair, every success in continuing to guide that process into its second decade as a cornerstone, I believe, of our collective efforts to pursue safe, orderly and regular migration that benefits all individuals and also states concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now His Excellency Mr. Mande Kumba, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, South Sudan. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Minister Badr Abdullah Ati, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. At the outset of this important conference, I would like first to take this opportunity to thank the Egyptian government for organizing this important conference, including the hospitality and the warm reception accorded to all of us. On behalf of the government and the people of South Sudan, I sincerely congratulate all of you on your outstanding achievements during the past 10 years since the inception of the Khartoum process. Again, sincere and faithful words of congratulations also extended to Egypt for a very successful chairmanship of during the year 2024-2025. We also congratulate the incoming chair, namely France, for winning the trust and the confidence of the member states, and we in South Sudan remain committed to work closely with France in order to achieve the overall objectives of Khartoum process. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, you may agree with me that migration is an ancient human phenomenon which we can never claim to immediately eradicate or even stop, but we can collectively aspire so that it is safe and orderly and regularly managed for the best benefit of the global community. As one of the founding members of Khartoum Process, the Republic of South Sudan has not only identified root causes of irregular migration, but South Sudan has developed and availed to a wider membership durable solutions in addressing root causes of irregular migration, in human mobility and displacement. And to mention few, development of strategies for peace and stability, effective management of natural resources, deployment of modern green and environmental and friendly technologies and management, and also the support from the diaspora to engage in the development of the homeland countries. And in our case in South Sudan, our national basketball team that is aware to all of you is the best example for that. Again, education and healthcare and commercialization of the livestock, small-scale businesses, tourism, among others. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's worth mentioning that South Sudan is currently hosting more than 2 million Sudanese and non-Sudanese refugees and returnees. These remarkable efforts needs collective attention, needs collective care, needs collective support. To conclude, we in South Sudan, we call and we encourage for more, stronger and collaborative partnership with all the member states of Khartoum process, and we remain committed to the outcomes of this important conference, and we sincerely wish this conference a sincere success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Lucas Hendrich, Deputy Minister of the Interior of the Czech Republic. Please.
Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me thank Egypt for hosting us and for organizing this conference. Let me also thank the steering committee for facilitating the work on both the ministerial declaration and the action plan, as well as on their adoption. The Czech Republic is ready to support both documents and to participate on the implementation of the action plan in the future. Also, as the Prague Process Chair, the Czech Republic fully recognizes the importance of the migration dialogues and therefore highly appreciates the work that has been carried out under the Khartoum Process so far. Looking into the future, we are looking forward to participate on its continuous activities. You know, we are a country in the heart of Europe, surrounded by Schengen countries. We have no seashore, no external borders, almost no irregular migrants, of course, besides the more than 500,000 Ukrainians fleeing from the war, but that is a different story. People could say, and some already do, that we should concentrate on our local problems and not to waste time on global actions. But that would be a huge mistake. The more isolated as a country or even a region we would stand, the bigger burden and threat we shall face sooner or later. Therefore, in our view, the migration dialogue should span across continents, and this is what we are experiencing here right now. Only effective and comprehensive cooperation between countries of origin, transit and destination is key to achieve our common interests, including the fight against irregular migration and with a particular focus on its root causes and innovative solutions. As a part of this objective, further options should be explored to support socio-economic development in the countries of origin and transit. And that is where we see, as the EU member state, a clear added value of the European Union under the framework of new comprehensive strategic partnerships. Finally, we are proud to complement our joint initiatives by bilateral projects with our partner countries. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Georg Schielfried, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Republic of Austria, please, have the floor.
Thank you. On behalf of Austria, please let me express our gratitude to our host Egypt for its leadership and commitment to the Khartoum process during its chairmanship over the past year. Thank you for the great hospitality and your work in facilitating today's meeting. Please let me also take this opportunity to congratulate and thank the incoming chair, France, for its engagement in the process and steering the way ahead of us. And thank you also to ICMPD in its role as Khartoum Process Secretariat, as it were, for the successful organization of the conference and for its contributions to the process since its inception. Today's conference marks an important stepping stone. It provides a clear direction and a guideline for our joint endeavors and actions in the framework of the EU Horn of Africa Migration Route Initiative. Since its inception more than 10 years ago, the Khartoum process provides a unique platform for dialogue, cooperation, knowledge sharing, and support for its member states. The adoption of the Joint Valletta Action Plan in 2018 has allowed to further intensify the partnership and bring a tangible and direct impact on migratory movements in our region. We are convinced that for successful cooperation, we need partnerships that take into account the interests and needs of all parties involved. And this is why Austria has supported many joint projects and initiatives focusing on the migration context of each country. Our joint approach is needed, and the Khartoum process helps us to facilitate our joint endeavors. We are well aware that no country can manage migration individually. So for establishing safe, orderly and regular migration routes, we simply need to work together. And we need to look ahead and collaborate in the search for new and creative solutions. And as I said, the Khartoum process allows us to not only monitor relevant developments and dynamics, it brings together technical expertise and enables us to think out of the box in search for durable solutions. So in this context, Austria thanks Kenya, the Egyptian chair and the Khartoum Process Secretariat for the opportunity to contribute to the exchange of technical expertise through a joint thematic meeting in Mombasa in December of last year. Meetings like these enable us to collaborate along relevant routes and to keep our cooperation up to date with shifting needs and challenges. Our regional cooperation goes beyond joint efforts in border management, the fight against human smuggling and trafficking in human beings and so forth. It also acknowledges the role of regular migration, bringing together more and more countries with the common goal of promoting legal pathways. We therefore welcome the declaration and the call of action, which include a wide range of measures and actions. So allow me to conclude by once again thanking the outgoing and incoming chair, as well as ICMPD, for the great work in bringing together all partners and enabling the joining of forces. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sticking to the time slot. Mr. Filip Popov, Deputy Minister of Interior, Bulgaria, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ministers and heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Republic of Bulgaria, allow me to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to the Arab Republic of Egypt for the warm hospitality and for hosting the second Ministerial Conference of the Khartoum Process in the fascinating city of Cairo. Bulgaria highly appreciates the efforts of the Egypt chairmanship to support and advance the Khartoum Process platform in the past year. I also thank the Khartoum Process Secretariat for their contribution. Distinguished partners, it is an honor to address you today as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Khartoum Process. The conference is a milestone providing an opportunity to reflect on the collective achievements and to reaffirm the commitment to addressing migration challenges through enhanced cooperation. Similar to our existing regional platforms, the Khartoum Process is based on a balanced and comprehensive whole-of-the-road approach. Since its inception in 2014, the Khartoum Process has served as a vital platform promoting trust, mutual understanding and result-oriented collaborative action among the countries along the migration road from the Horn of Africa to Europe. Over the past decade, the Khartoum Process has evolved to address a broad spectrum of migration-related issues, aligning its focus with the 5 priority domains of the Joint Valletta Action Plan and its implementation. Bulgaria is one of the countries that contributes to the development of the Valletta Plan and supported it, convinced of its positive impact on our migration-related issues. Today, the forum gives us the opportunity to endorse a set of new, renewed commitments and actions in the spirit of mutual responsibility, partnership and engagements. Bulgaria consistently supports our activists which facilitate the development of partnership and trust building with the countries along the migratory roads. Due to its geographical position, for more than 20 years Bulgaria has been an active participant in the cooperation under the Budapest process. The areas we have most experience in the border management and fight against migrant smuggling and trafficking in persons, including enhanced cooperation between law enforcement agencies. Bulgaria stands ready to share experience and to contribute to the cooperation in this area within the Khartoum process. Addressing the root cause of migration, strengthening the capacity of institutions, effective return and reintegration policies are among our priorities as well. We also support legal pathways in line with national needs and ensuring international protection in line with international standards, respecting the dignity and human rights of all migrants and addressing through the Khartoum process the issue of missing migrants. In these actions, we are guided by the common perception that we should not allow any acts of intolerance such as discrimination, racism, or xenophobia. In conclusion, the Khartoum process has all the potential to enhance international cooperation in addressing
migration challenges. Having said this, I would like to confirm the support of Bulgaria to the Declaration of Cairo and the related action plan. Last but not at least, I would also like to greet France as the incoming chair of the Khartoum Process. I am convinced that France will contribute the best possible way to the values and commitments of this dialogue. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. I invite now Mr. Marco Stucin, State Secretary for European Affairs and Political Affairs in Slovenia. Please try to stick as much as possible to the 3 minutes intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll do my best. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to first express my sincere gratitude for the very warm welcome to Egypt, host of the second Ministerial Conference of the Khartoum Process. Migration has shaped our past and will continue to do so in the future. Today, the global instability caused by the use of force, wars and natural disasters are on the rise. In addition, we are facing devastating consequences of climate change that affect vulnerable people the most. The challenges we are facing have consequences on human mobility on both sides of the Mediterranean and require a coordinated, well-managed regional response. Over the last decade, the Khartoum Process has served as a vital platform for addressing the challenges along migration routes between the Horn of Africa and Europe effectively. Our joint actions have driven significant progress in the development of the Khartoum Process. Its broader scope must continue to evolve and reflect on changing migration realities. We need to commit to tackling these realities comprehensively. Today, with the endorsement of the Declaration and the first action plan of the process, we pave the way for the concrete activities in the years to come. As part of our comprehensive approach to human mobility, we need to create more and better opportunities for the people to move in a safe, orderly and regular way. If migration is managed well, it can be a driver of sustainable development. We need to provide safety for those fleeing conflict, fill labour shortages, manage demographic transition and work towards migration as an internal element of climate adaptations. At the same time, we need to continue fighting irregular migration, migrant smuggling and trafficking in human beings, as well as enforcing returns, readmissions and sustainable reintegration. Ladies and gentlemen, Slovenia calls for a human rights-based and gender-responsive approach to migration challenges. Regional actions and effective partnerships, including with private sector at all levels, are paramount in our action. Slovenia will advocate for this approach also in our capacity as the UN Security Council member and also chair of the MED9 group this year. Before I conclude, I would like to recall the thematic workshop co-chaired by Slovenia and Egypt on bridging climate, conflict and displacement in the Horn of Africa, organized during the Egyptian chairmanship of the process. Extreme weather patterns, natural resource scarcity and conflicts are driving forces of displacement. Our focus should remain on this challenge. This way, the process will remain a forward-looking and relevant platform in the future. Finally, let me also wish France a successful presidency in the upcoming year. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I invite Sweden, Ms. Anders Thor Hall, State Secretary to the Minister of Migration. Thank you.
Thank you, and honorable ministers, distinguished colleagues and esteemed partners. It's a privilege to address you today at this ministerial conference. And let me begin by expressing my gratitude to the Arab Republic of Egypt, who has made it possible for us to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Khartoum Process here in Cairo. We are here today to navigate one of the defining phenomena of our time. Migration has, throughout history, shaped societies, bringing diversity, innovation, and resilience to nations. But yet, irregular migration is accompanied by significant challenges that demand our collective action and attention. Irregular migration is many times tied to conflict, poverty, climate change, and the lack of sustainable opportunities. Many undertake perilous journeys in search of safety and a better future, often falling prey to exploitation by traffickers and smugglers. The Khartoum Process provides us with a vital platform to address these challenges together, not through isolated actions, but through partnerships based on trust and mutual respect. It is only by working together, sharing expertise, resources and commitment that we can manage this collective effort. To achieve this, I would like to highlight three key areas in need of strengthened cooperation. First, an extended use of development interventions to address root causes of irregular migration and forced displacement, but also to strengthen migration management along the main migratory routes. Second, enhanced cross-border collaboration to combat human smuggling and trafficking networks effectively. And third, but not least, to build solid systems for return for persons without legal right to stay in countries of destination. Last year, the Swedish government adopted a new global strategy on migration, return and voluntary repatriation as a part of our development cooperation. The strategy reflects our commitment to strengthen migration management and protection globally and underlines the importance of well-functioning return systems for those without a legal right to stay. Several of the objectives of the global migration strategy align very well with those of the Khartoum Process. Honourable Ministers and distinguished colleagues, it is with great pleasure that I confirm Sweden's support for the adoption of today's Ministerial Declaration and Action Plan. And as a steady partner to the process, we look forward to work with the incoming French chairmanship to make these documents a foundation for continued partnerships and tangible progress in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I call upon His Excellency Mr. Mohammed bin Ayad, State Secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Migration and Tunisians Abroad. Tunisia, please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Dr. Badr Abdelati, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Egyptian expatriates of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Excellency, distinguished members of delegation, dear Assistant Deputy Minister Wael Badawi, it is my great pleasure to join you today for this second ministerial conference of the Khartoum Process as we commemorate its 10th anniversary. Allow me first to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the Egyptian chairmanship for their exemplary leadership and unwavering commitment throughout their presidency of the Khartoum Process. I would like also to cite this opportunity to extend my thanks to all African countries and European partners, members of the Khartoum Process who gather within this framework to cooperate collectively and effectively on migration, and all relevant international organizations who have played an active role in shaping the outcomes of its activities, without forgetting the eminent work of senior officials who took part in the elaboration and negotiation of the Process Action Plan and the relevant Cairo Declaration. Excellencies, we all know that the establishment of the Khartoum Process took place after the tragic event resulting in the loss of thousands of lives of migrants in the Mediterranean Sea. This initiative was launched to foster dialogue on the means to avoid further loss of migrant lives at sea. And we have to acknowledge that the fulfillment of this goal requires that policies compounding the risks of migrants' disappearances should be discontinued. In this respect, and as recognized by all European partners, Tunisia is acknowledged to have assumed its share of responsibility in preventing hundreds of these life-threatening journeys from crossing the sea towards Europe and therefore saving thousands of lives. We have to outline that by prohibiting such dangerous journeys, Tunisia is following one of the most important principles, holding its migration strategy, aiming at prevent its shores from being platforms to irregular transit to Europe, and to put forward its will to halt a vicious cycle of human tragedy. Nonetheless, Tunisia could not offer integration alternatives to the increasing number of migrants crossing illegally its borders, nor can Tunisia accept their stay in anarchic camps in poor conditions, making them ideal targets for smugglers. For this reason, we have opted for the voluntary return, as cited, as sole solution that guarantees the dignity of returnees and their inherent rights in line with international law. In this regard, I value the strong cooperation of all African countries and the efforts deployed by the International Organization for Migration to ensure a return in dignity for a large number of these victims. This solidarity-based approach relies on the attentiveness of all the stakeholders to adhere to a responsibility-sharing vision with regard to the complexity of the phenomenon and its multifaceted aspects, even though we may have diverging objectives, as it is illustrated by legal migration. In conclusion, we all admit that the main objective of this framework is to further enhance our cooperation in order to effectively address the challenges related to illegal migration. In this regard, we are convinced that a balanced cooperation will ensure efficient strategy and innovative solutions. I extend to all of you my most sincere wishes for fruitful deliberations and successful outcomes for this ministerial conference, and I wish also full success for the coming French chairmanship of the process. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vincenzo Maschioli, State Secretary for Migration, Switzerland. You have the floor.
Thank you. Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, dear colleagues, let me express my sincere gratitude to Egypt for its distinguished and successful chairmanship of the Khartoum Process in 2024. Switzerland has been an active participant in the Khartoum Process. We recently had the pleasure to co-host actually a very successful workshop with Ethiopia in Addis Ababa. We consider that all 5 domains of the new Cairo Action Plan are relevant, interconnected, and need to be addressed equally. Switzerland greatly valued to highlight the critical issue of missing migrants in the Cairo Action Plan, a topic we strongly support also within the Rabat process. I would like to urge all of us to reaffirm our commitment to the fundamental principles of the Khartoum Process. So let us strengthen our partnerships, enhance regional collaboration, and invest in sustainable development in countries of origin, transit, and destination. As we move forward, Switzerland remains steadfast in its support to the Khartoum Process and its objectives. The Horn of Africa remains a priority for Switzerland. We prepare to assume the chair of the Rabat process in 2026, but we will be in this also be focused on fostering synergies between the 2 processes. Last but not least, we extend our congratulations to France on assuming the presidency as the incoming chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we move to Portugal. Mr. Joaquim Cruz, Chief of Staff of the Cabinet of the Deputy Minister for the Presidency. You have the floor, sir.
Hello, good morning. His Excellency Dr. Bart Abdelati, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Expatriates of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Mrs. Angela Martins, Acting Director of the Department of Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development of the African Union Commission, allow me extraordinary testimony from Mozambique for African international social politics. Thank you so much for all your work. Dr. Magnus Brunner, European Commissioner for International Affairs and Migration, Dr. Michael Spideliger, Director General Manager of ICMPD, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. On behalf of the Portuguese government and in representation of our Deputy Minister for the Presidency, Mr. Rui Hermínio Freitas, I am honored to represent Portugal in this second Ministerial Conference of the Khartoum Process. Let me start by expressing our sincere gratitude for the leadership given to the Khartoum Process of the Egyptian Presidency, which led to the adoption of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan that will frame our collective work for the coming years. I wish also to extend the same gratitude to the host country for its generous hospitality in person of His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Expatriates of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Now, notwithstanding the recent events in the city that gave the name to this process, the foundational values and goals that bring us all together remain unchanged. On that note, we appreciate the Presidency's commitment, effort, and expertise throughout the negotiation process in order to secure a balanced approach, combining strategic priorities, interests, and policies among the Member States. The current migration realities demand a holistic approach and forward-looking frameworks that balance security, opportunities, and protection of people aligned with both global initiatives and national priorities. Portugal places great value on international cooperation, in particular promotes safe, orderly, and regular migration. As an illustration of such commitment, we recently launched a new labor mobility program in partnership with business associations and major employers to create a fast-track channel for the legal entry of foreign workers into strategic areas of the Portuguese labor market. This new framework creates dedicated channels to streamline recruitment process, which allow migrants to start working immediately upon arrival. This model not only responds to the real needs of the labor market, but also guarantees ethical recruitment carried out with proper conditions for reception and integration, which is a concrete step forward in line migration management with both national priorities and shared international responsibilities. Portugal's renewed vision in terms of migration policies recognizes that migrations, when well managed, can benefit both people and the host communities, as long as we cooperate with a view to ensure regular and safe migrations pathways. We are just in line following all the new action plan for migrations that was publicly presented in Portugal by this government last June. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, we are firmly convinced that within this framework, the Khartoum process will further contribute to build bridge between continents, foster synergies with other dialogues like Rabat process that Portugal had the presidency until last January, and promote joint solutions to address both current and future global challenges and opportunities. Today's commitments must pave the way for further action grounded in mutual trust, genuine partnership, and exchange of experience to strengthen regular migrations options and collective political guidance. Finally, we extend our sincere congratulations to the outgoing presidency for the outstanding work accomplished and we expressed your best wishes to France for a successful and impactful term ahead it assumes the presidency. Let us come together in our efforts to ensure that migrations remain safe, lawful, and beneficial for everyone involved. Thank you from Portugal.
Thank you very much. Now I call upon Denmark, Mr. Ankersten Karsten, Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Immigration and Integration, please, sir. And please limit the intervention to 3 minutes so that we can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first congratulate you and on a very well-organized conference. You and your team skillfully managed to land the two complicated texts in a balanced manner, securing a strong outcome. Happy to say that Denmark stands ready to adopt the texts. Irregular migration and displacement continues to pose serious challenges for all of us. No country can solve them alone. This is the very reason for the Khartoum Process. In addition to tackling root causes through our general development programs in the region, Denmark also takes a regional and whole-of-route approach to migration. Last year we launched 3 5-year regional migration governance programs amounting to almost 150 million euros, the biggest programs of its sort in the Danish history, with activities that are going to take place in several of the countries present here today. The programs aim to strengthen migration governance, counter human smuggling, and protecting vulnerable migrants along key migration routes. We believe in equal strategic partnerships based on a win-win approach, as also witnessed with our strategic partnership with Egypt, signed during His Excellency President Al-Assisi's state visit to Denmark just a few months ago. Egypt shoulders a great burden, hosting millions of migrants and refugees. During His Excellency's visits, we also signed an MOU on migration collaboration that we backed up with more than 13 million euros as part of our regional migration governance program for the Mediterranean. Additional funding for the region will also come through our whole-of-route program and the climate change and migration data program. We reconfirm that we stand ready to work together, and certainly also with our incoming French friends. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Maciej Ducik, Under-Secretary of State at the Ministry of Interior and Administration of Poland. Please, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor, Chair. First of all, I would like to thank the Egyptian government for organizing this very important conference and for the absolutely wonderful hospitality. Let me start my intervention by saying that the Polish Council of Ministers approved a new migration strategy last October. It takes into account the fact that Poland has transformed from an emigration country into immigration one in the recent years, fastest in the history of migration. First, for example, we host nowadays more than 2 million Ukrainians. 50% of them are war refugees. The basis of our migration strategy is to ensure control over migration processes so that the beneficiaries are the people of Poland, the competitiveness of the Polish economy, but also to ensure security. Protection of migrants and accepted refugees is also our top priority. In recent years, Poland has become a very important point on the migration map of the world. For the past 3 years, an artificially created migration route from African countries has been passing through my country. We put a lot of effort into securing Poland's border, which are also the EU's external border. The situation at the EU-US external border with Belarus and Russia is unique. For we are dealing with cooperation between organized crime groups and state actors facilitating illegal border crossing. Therefore, the fight against the instrumentalization of migration and the fight against smugglers and human trafficking is very difficult and often more difficult than in other regions of the world. Poland is very interested in cooperating within the framework of the Khartoum processes on effectively preventing and combating human trafficking. In the coming months, in Poland, we will present a package of proposals that will respond to the challenges of migration. The issue of human smuggling is also one of the priorities of our current EU presidency. I would also like to express my satisfaction that the Cairo Ministerial Declaration includes a reference to legal mobility and the building of legal migration pathways. Poland is extremely interested in creating legal migration opportunities as a response to the growing phenomenon of illegal migration. With the reference to the priorities of upcoming chair, France, regarding capacity building in the field of civil registry, I would like to express our support and recall Polish experience got in the cooperation with Benin and Burkina Faso, as well as our current project that we start to implement in Senegal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, Belgium, Mr. Hugo Verbist, Special Envoy for Migration and Asylum. You have the floor, sir.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me first express my gratitude to the Arab Republic of Egypt and to His Excellency Dr. Abdelati for hosting us in this beautiful city of Cairo, and to Ambassador Dr. Badawi for his leadership as chair of the Khartoum Process and for having conducted the negotiations on the text we are about to adopt, as well as to ICMPD for its invaluable support to achieve this result. This platform provides an important occasion to reiterate Belgium's strong commitment to the Khartoum Process, in which we have engaged with full commitment, recognizing the essential role of multilateral cooperation and a shared responsibility in addressing migration. This regional dialogue constitutes a privileged and unique forum for cooperation, exchange and mutual learning that has been able to evolve from a process mainly focused on trafficking in human beings and smuggling of migrants into a political and cooperation platform that considers and addresses all aspects of migration in order to achieve safe, orderly and regular migration. In today's globalized world, unity and cooperation are necessary in tackling the complex challenges that affect migration and mobility. Operational partnerships that are comprehensive, balanced, transparent and mutually beneficial are essential for countries of origin, transit and destination alike. We therefore very much welcome the Ministerial Declaration that we are about to adopt today. It reflects a balance between combating irregular migration and supporting legal migration, while recognizing the contribution of regular migrants and the diaspora to the sustainable development of countries of origin, transit and destination in a triple-win partnership approach. Importantly, it includes enhancing cooperation on effective, safe, timely and dignified return, readmission and sustainable reintegration. We particularly appreciate the Declaration's human rights-based approach, which we believe is fundamental to achieving a sustainable migration framework, and also support the importance of promoting a balanced, accurate and evidence-based narrative on migration. With regards to the action plan, Belgium appreciates the document's commitment to inclusivity and balance, as well as its regional and whole-of-route approach. We are particularly happy that the first domain of this action plan is about strengthening the nexus between regular migration and development, as well as addressing the root causes of irregular migration and forced displacement. Recognizing the importance and relevance of all 5 domains of this action plan, we are pleased to share that our governmental agreement of the new Belgian government is in great part aligned with the approaches and cross-cutting priorities identified. Our government recognizes indeed that regular migration can be positive and intends, for example, to promote regular and legal pathways for students and professionals. At the same time, through a whole-of-government approach, migration becomes now a cross-cutting theme of our development cooperation, aiming at finding durable solutions to refugees of international crises, reinforcing protection and reception in the region, while addressing the root causes of migration and supporting sustainable reintegration. We look very much forward for the rich discussions that this platform is going to continue to host, for the enhanced cooperation between all partners, and for the work ahead of us in making the Cairo Declaration and Action Plan not only important guiding documents, but a reality. Once again, we commend the Chair and the Secretariat for all their efforts. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Belgium. Uganda, Ms. Josephine Ekwang, Commissioner at the Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration Control. Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Excellency, distinguished participants. Allow me to thank the Arab Republic of Egypt for the warmth and hospitality extended to us since we arrived in this very, very beautiful city. Your Excellency, allow me convey the apologies of my Minister, Honorable John Mulumba, the Minister of State for Regional Cooperation, who was supposed to be here and could not make it because of circumstances beyond his control. He asked me to thank the Arab Republic of Egypt for hosting the second ministerial conference and to congratulate you for leading the process successfully during your chairmanship. Noting the extensive milestones that you achieved, and the Republic of Uganda highly commends you for this achievement. In the same spirit, the Republic of Uganda congratulates France as the new chair of the Khartoum Process and commits to support France and all the aspirations of the Khartoum Process. Uganda is currently hosting 1.7 million refugees and asylum seekers, one of the highest numbers in Africa. Uganda has also signed bilateral agreements with countries in Asia and in the Middle East on matters to do with labor externalization. We are also in the process of concluding the first comprehensive national migration policy that will allow all stakeholders to work with a whole-of-government approach to manage migration better. The government of Uganda appreciates the platform that this process, the Khartoum Process, offers for dialogue on important subjects on migration. This platform enables us to share our stories, experiences, best practices, expertise, and build capacity for better migration management. Once again, the Republic of Uganda reiterates our commitment to ensuring and supporting the objectives of the Khartoum Process. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam. Now we move to Spain. Mr. Jorge Romeo, Deputy Assistant Minister and Director at the Migration Affairs Office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At the outset, allow me to express our appreciation to the Egyptian government for hosting this conference. We believe that this meeting is in itself proof of the validity of the principles that inspired the launch of the Khartoum Process back in 2014. In our dialogue, the points of view are necessarily different, but this exchange of opinions is precisely the basis for moving towards a convergence of criteria. We certainly consider it essential to address the issues related to returns, readmissions, and sustainable reintegration, as well as those linked to the fight against irregular migration. I believe that in recent years, a consensus has emerged around this last point. In other words, we all know by now that irregular migration is bad. However, we also consider that from a necessarily balanced approach, we cannot ignore the fight against the root causes of this same irregular migration and all the issues relating to international protection and respect for the fundamental rights of migrants. I do not want to fail to mention the necessary promotion of new legal pathways for regular migration. It could be self-deceiving to believe that labor migration can offset irregular migration. Nevertheless, these legal pathways are essential. The Spanish society, like those of so many European countries, needs the contribution of migrants for its vital project. Europe today is a very different reality from what it was just 2 or 3 decades ago. It is more diverse and also more dynamic. We are convinced that this diversity is a source of strength and wealth. In order to preserve them, effective migration management is crucial to ensure the predictability of movements between our two continents. In Spain, the month of May will mark the entry into force of our new regulation on the status of aliens. It provides for solutions to facilitate the social and economic insertion of migrants in a regular situation as long as they meet certain criteria and conditions. These new legal measures are in a way a follow-up to others adopted back in 2022, such as the creation of a long-term residence permit for purposes of vocational training. The Ministerial Declaration and the action plan to be adopted today show us the path to follow in coming years in order to continue making progress towards achieving our common goals, always within a whole-of-road approach and with a particular focus on prevention. Let me stress this point. Prevention saves lives. We cannot lower our guard in our endeavor to break the business model of smugglers based on vain promises. They recklessly endanger the lives of desperate people in search of a better future. For this reason, fighting them and bringing them to justice is both a legal and moral imperative for us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we move to Kenya. His Excellency Ambassador Frederick Otieno. Please, colleagues, Excellencies, I kindly urge you to stick to the 3 minutes time frame. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, His Excellencies, and all the protocol observed. On behalf of the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration of the Republic of Kenya, acknowledge the participating member states and partners' presence. Recognize the support of the ICMPD to the Secretariat and the process as a whole. Developments in the past 10 years of the Khartoum process signal a notable evolution in enhancing migration cooperation across the two regions, affirming its pivotal role in addressing one of the most significant socio-economic issues out of our time. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Arab Republic of Egypt, our esteemed outgoing chair, for leading the process during their term. We are all acutely sensitive to the visionary leadership provided to this process. It is an invaluable contribution and a firm visionary leadership it has exhibited in navigating the intricacies of the issues of migration in the process cannot be unnoticed. Meanwhile, Excellencies, I would like to send cordial congratulations and welcome the new chair, France, with open arms, anticipating the fact that under its chairmanship, we will further enhance our efforts in promoting solid interventions on regional cooperation, mutual support, and shared responsibilities among member states. The single key question today is what the future holds for migration within our regions. We are witnessing historic inter-regional, interstate developments with unknown and known impacts. I have no doubt that the broad constituencies of stakeholders assembled here to debate the future of the Khartoum process were very ahead of their time, because there is indeed a sense of urgency and need for cooperation. The members all collectively reaffirmed their strong commitments to the process in a careful construction of the Ministerial Declaration and the accompanying action plan, both of which are important instruments in the mobilization of collective action aimed at realizing collaboration and cooperation in the management of migration that best reflect the desires and interests of all member states participating. This purpose shares our shared vision of a world where migration can be perceived not only as an issue, but also as a cooperation and development challenge. Excellencies, as we stretch the following 10 years further, the Khartoum process itself will need to change in such terms from paradigms of bare discussions to one of the specific action. My suggestion is that we transition to a paradigm of creating and highlighting actionable projects, addressing the immediate migration issues of our respective regions. We can collaborate towards a mutually acceptable approach based on the principles of reciprocity, mutual benefit, dignity, and collective advantage of the evolving ground realities. In pursuing this revolution agenda, we call upon all the Khartoum process partners and stakeholders to embark on profound collaboration and give precedence to projects that tackle migration concerns holistically and in sustainable manner. This joint effort is not only in harmony with our unwavering commitment to the principle enshrined in the Ministerial Declaration, but also a testament to our shared commitment to building a more robust and just a future for all parties involved. Excellencies, signing today the Ministerial Declaration, we shall be bringing to the life the change which we foresee, translating the process from the sphere of discussion into action steps. It is possible through focusing on real measures and plans sensitive to the diverse wants and aspirations of our constituencies. Through it, we can make a living dialogue, the Khartoum process, institutionalized. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Croatia, Mr. Tomislav Bosniak, His Excellency the Ambassador of Croatia to Egypt. I give you the floor, sir.
Croatia thanks Egypt for organizing this wonderful conference. Distinguished ministers, dear colleagues, the Khartoum Process as a vital collaboration between the European Union and the Horn of Africa proves to be a solid pillar of transformative power of partnership in addressing shared challenges. The process recognizes that migration is not a standalone issue, but a symptom of a deeper systematic challenges: poverty, conflict, climate change, and governance gaps. The Horn of Africa faces profound instability, with millions displaced by drought, violence, and economic despair. These pressures fuel irregular migrations and trafficking networks, posing humanitarian and security risks for both regions. For Europe, addressing these challenges is not just altruism, it is strategic. Stability in the region safeguards global security, curbs forced migration, and upholds human dignity. The EU-Horn of Africa partnership thrives on mutual benefit. Through the Khartoum process, we've seen capacity-building programs for border security, anti-trafficking training for law enforcement, and investment in youth employment and climate resilience. Yet, true progress requires addressing root causes. This means investing in education, creating jobs, and fostering governance reforms to offer hope and opportunity. It means ensuring that partnership prioritizes sustainable development alongside security, building a future where migration is a choice, not necessity. Challenges persist: political volatility, funding gaps, and balancing enforcement with rights. Our response must be holistic, protecting migrants, expanding legal pathways, and amplifying local voices in policy making. The way forward demands unwavering commitment. The EU must continue channeling resources into long-term development, while African nations prioritize reforms and regional cooperation. Together, we can turn the Khartoum process into a beacon of solidarity, proving that when continents unite, challenges become opportunities. In conclusion, by adopting the declaration and the action plan, we've reaffirmed our pledge to this partnership. By bridging divides and fostering truth, we pave the way for a stable, prosperous future for Africa, for Europe, and for the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We move to Malta now. His Excellency Ambassador Roberto Passe, Ambassador of Malta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to everybody present. Despite the fluctuations in the migration flows and routes in our regions, these flows have remained a constant phenomenon during these past years. With developments in our Mediterranean neighborhood and beyond, we can expect both challenges and opportunities related to migration to remain with us for the foreseeable future. In this context, cooperation between partners present here today remains as crucial as ever. The Khartoum process remains a key platform to facilitate this partnership and for implementing the joint Valletta Action Plan adopted in Malta in 2015. Indeed, as the process has just celebrated its 10th anniversary last year, and the joint Valletta Action Plan will also be celebrating its 10th anniversary later this year, we have a valuable opportunity to take stock of progress achieved at this crucial milestone. The pillars of a comprehensive partnership remain the same, mainly addressing root causes of irregular migration and displacement, tackling migrant smuggling and human trafficking, return and reintegration, and ensuring access to international protection and strengthening legal pathways. The Ministerial Conference and the Declaration and Action Plan adopted today keep these in mind, while also capably addressing the current context and the changes that have occurred during these past 10 years. In conclusion, we express our gratitude to Egypt for its work as the chair of the process during this past year and for coordinating the preparation of today's event, and the ICMPD as the secretariat for the process. We also wish the incoming chair, France, all the success in its endeavors it will undertake next year. We look forward to utilizing the Declaration and Action Plan adopted today to continue strengthening our cooperation in the coming years. I thank you.
Thank you, Malta. Now Ethiopia, His Excellency Ambassador Hassan Ibrahim Musa, Ambassador of Ethiopia. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you,
Ethiopia,
Chair.
please. Yeah.
Excellencies, Ministers, Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Federal Government of Ethiopia, I would like to appreciate the warm welcome and generous hospitality accorded to our team by the Arab Republic of Egypt. I also want to congratulate His Excellency Dr. Badr Abdellati and his team for the leadership that you have demonstrated during your tenure. I also want to commend ICMD for the dedication and the professional support. Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 10 years, the Khartoum process has been serving as an important and sustainable platform for the EU Horn of Africa regional dialogue on migration and mobility. The forums have been pivotal in exchanging knowledge and information, fostering cooperation, identifying challenges, recommending solutions, and sharing experiences. The 10 years anniversary under the Egyptian leadership is an important milestone for us to take stock of the success and challenges of our collaboration. As the outcome, the stock-taking exercise, the Cairo Declaration and the action plan which we adopted today will definitely provide a strategic guidance for the full implementation of the objectives of the process. Excellency Chair, Ethiopia, as an origin, transit, and destination country, and as the host of more than 1 million refugees, emphasizes the need for a long-term, sustainable, and comprehensive effort towards both alleviating the root causes of migratory challenges and enhancing the positive gains of regular migrations. I want to underscore the fact that the ever-complex global dynamics marked by uncertainty and confusion demands a new mindset, skill set, and tool set. The diversion of both attentions and resources from important agendas such as migration and its long-term negative repercussions need a thorough scrutiny and urgent remedial measures. I believe stronger and determined efforts, not less, are expected both from Africa and Europe in this regard. I hope the revitalization of the Ministerial Declaration and the Plan of Action will play a significant role in refocusing our attention to the fundamental priorities of addressing the root causes of irregular migration by rendering sufficient attention to the whole 5 pillars of the Valletta Action Plan. Excellency Chair, finally, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the French delegation for assuming the chairmanship of the process. I assure Ethiopia's full commitment and support towards the successful implementation of the revitalization Ministerial Declaration and the action plan during the time of your leadership and beyond. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. Now, I call upon Ambassador, Her Excellency Ambassador Polly Iwaunu, Ambassador of Cyprus. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and our sincere gratitude to Egypt for hosting this conference and to France as incoming presidency. As a small transit and destination state at the crossroads of 3 continents that has been overwhelmed in recent years by the number of arrivals of irregular migrants and asylum seekers, Cyprus is fully cognizant of the indispensability of functioning regional and international cooperation in migration governance and of platforms like the Khartoum Process. I wish to stress the following elements from our perspective. Firstly, our full support for the comprehensive approach enshrined in the declaration and action plan we are adopting today, as opposed to the sterile strategy of considering complex phenomena selectively. Secondly, the strong nexus between conflict and migration. Amidst growing conflict and insecurity in this region, we need to refocus our attention on peace and security, including preventing conflict, ensuring humanitarian access in conflict areas, cessation of hostilities, reconciliation, and workable peace agreements, in addition, of course, to addressing the illicit trafficking in armaments and weaponry. Thirdly, the imperative of upholding the right of return of those displaced. Fourthly, the need to elaborate legal and practical solutions regarding climate migrants and refugees, given the increasing stress on natural resources. Fifthly, the exchange of good governance practices aiming towards greater equality, social inclusion, and the creation of opportunities, including the enhanced participation of women in economic activity and the labor market. Lastly, a more robust criminal justice approach that responds to the horrific treatment and exploitation of migrants by smugglers, taking into account the particular vulnerability of women and girls to sexual violence and trafficking. Before closing, a word on legal migration, which is in itself proof of the evolving landscape of migration and the need this generates to maintain a living response on our part. Labor mobility can be a truly osmotic method of interstate exchange and cooperation, and as has been mentioned, Cyprus is one of the countries that have concluded an MOU with Egypt to this effect. At the same time, we could make use of safe and legal migration as an additional opportunity to enhance awareness in countries of origin regarding the reality of irregular migration and its perils. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Now, Her Excellency Rika Marietta Eila, Ambassador of Finland. Finland, please.
Distinguished ministers, esteemed colleagues, let me start by expressing our gratitude to the chair of the dialogue, Egypt, for skillfully guiding the process forward. Migration is one of the defining issues of our time. Finland supports the priorities outlined in the declaration and in the plan of action. Regarding reducing and preventing irregular migration and fight against smuggling and trafficking of human beings, Finland is committed to enhancing border security and fighting against irregular migration while maintaining respect for human rights and international obligations. The nature of human trafficking is transnational. The phenomenon poses challenges that no country can respond alone. Finland will implement the new EU directive on preventing and combating trafficking of human beings and protecting its victims into our national legislation. We must provide viable alternatives and protect individuals from exploitation. Our focus must be on solutions that prevent irregular migration in a way that also honors the dignity of all people. Regarding strengthening cooperation for return, readmission and reintegration, Finland is committed to managing migration in a humane and organized way. For the complex system to work, effective readmission and reintegration processes are also a crucial element. It is important that those who have received a negative decision to their applicant to remain or stay will return, or they will be returned to their countries of origin as soon as possible. Finland is committed to ensuring that these processes are conducted with respect, dignity and adequate support for the returnees. We also highlight the importance of international cooperation to ensure fair and effective processes for returning individuals, including provisions for voluntary return, humane treatment and reintegration assistance. There is a need for a holistic approach to support returning individuals and to ensure that the return is sustainable and beneficial both for the returnees and for their communities. Reintegration is also about sustainable livelihoods. By collaborating amongst ourselves, we can offer meaningful reintegration support that fosters resilience and provides alternatives to remigration. Finland is in favour of increased international capacity building efforts. Emphasising the successful reintegration also supports sustainable development in countries of origin. Regarding promoting regular migration and strengthening legal migration, we welcome Khartoum Process efforts to strengthen existing policies and pathways for legal migration and mobility. Exchanging and sharing information helps in supporting legal migration in an ethical and sustainable way. Finland believes that legal migration offers a pathway for mutually beneficial outcomes, promoting the safe movement of people while addressing also labour and skill shortages. We encourage streamlined, accessible and transparent migration pathways. Regarding strengthening the nexus between regular migration and development and addressing the root causes of irregular migration and forced displacement. Tackling the root causes of irregular migration should be a fundamental element in our approach. Through development cooperation, we can reduce the need for people to resort to dangerous, irregular routes. Migration can be a driver for sustainable development. Migrants contribute significantly to both their countries of origin and destination. Finland is committed to policies that enhance these contributions by supporting skills training, financial inclusion, and channels for remittances that benefit families and communities. Our aim is to harness the power of migration to support the Sustainable Development Goals and create an environment where migration becomes a choice, not a necessity. Globally, we have a solid basis for our work in existing frameworks and instruments, including the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration and the Global Compact on Refugees. And it goes without saying that migration and international protection issues must always be handled in accordance with international law. Regarding ensuring international protection and respecting the human rights, Finland upholds its commitment to provide international protection to those who need it. We must ensure that all migrants and refugees are treated with respect, that their rights are protected and their voices heard. Equally essential is our work on integration, as we support migrants to become active members of our societies. To conclude, in order to achieve a stage where migration policies contribute to increasing stability, prosperity and mutual understanding, we need enhanced cooperation. Dialogues within the Khartoum process offer a valuable tool to this end. The challenges are complex and they require balanced and humane responses. Let me finish by commending Egypt for convening this conference and encouraging us all to work for our common goals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. And now I would like to give the floor to Her Excellency Dr. Ghada Wali, the Under Secretary of the Secretary General of the United Nations and the Executive Director of the UNODC. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellency, dear friend, Dr. Badr Abdelati, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Expatriates of Egypt. Distinguished ministers and heads of delegations, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful for the opportunity to address this ministerial conference of the Khartoum Process. For over a decade, the Khartoum Process has brought together countries along the migration route from the Horn of Africa to Europe on the basis of equal partnership and shared responsibility. Today, these values have gained new significance at a time of regional challenges and global fragmentation. I commend the leadership of the Khartoum Process for recognizing the need for renewed commitment and would like to congratulate Egypt, our gracious host, for convening this conference. Excellencies, as many of you have noted, the Horn of Africa sits at an epicenter of hardship. Conflict and its consequences have cast a shadow over the region in recent times, from El Fasher to Tigray. Al-Shabaab and other terrorist groups continue to kill and destabilize across borders. Historic flooding and droughts during the past few years have claimed lives and livelihoods. Poverty and humanitarian need are at stunning highs, and more than 23 million people are estimated to be internally displaced amid serious challenges to governance, the rule of law, to living conditions, and to livelihoods. In a region where the average median age is around 20 years old, an abundance of young people is left feeling little hope for a better future and facing dire living conditions. And women who already contend with chronic inequalities face greater struggles and greater risks. These are the very conditions that fuel high demand for migrant smuggling everywhere and have given rise to a complex network of smugglers operating across several routes, including the northern route towards North Africa and Europe. And this smuggling network intersects with abuse, exploitation, and human trafficking. Almost half of all detected victims of human trafficking from East Africa are found in North Africa. The share found in Western Europe is also rising swiftly, increasing from 5 to 9% between 2020 and 2022. Criminal networks are entrenching themselves along migration routes, generating criminal profits and undermining security and prosperity in countries of origin, transit, and destination. By building common ground, the Khartoum Process has established a strong foundation to break down this criminal business model. The goals of the Khartoum Process are directly linked to the effective implementation of the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, UNTOC, as well as its protocols on human trafficking and migrant smuggling. As the guardian of the Convention, UNODC is proud to contribute to those goals and support a whole-of-route human rights-based approach. In 2016, to respond to the needs identified by the Khartoum Process, our office began implementing the Better Migration Management Program, or BMM, in the Horn of Africa, supported by the European Union and the government of Germany. Through BMM, we trained more than 900 criminal justice officers on detection, investigation, and prosecution, provided 7 countries with equipment and technical support, and facilitated over 20 cases of international cooperation. We supported Somalia, South Sudan, and Uganda to ratify the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime and its smuggling and trafficking protocols. And we helped member states share information and strengthen joint investigations. These efforts are part of our broader work against migrant smuggling and human trafficking in the region and beyond. And we continue to produce research and analysis to inform policy, including through our Migrant Smuggling Observatory and our flagship global report on trafficking in persons. Ladies and gentlemen, your efforts against trafficking and smuggling with our support have yielded results. Arrests of suspected smugglers in North Africa and Southern Europe rose in 2024. Convictions for trafficking in persons in East Africa are also on the rise, though they remain low by global standards. Much has been done, but there's much more that can be done and must be done. There is an immediate need to invest in law enforcement, intelligence sharing, and cooperation, mirrored by a long-term need to invest in development and building resilience to prevent illegal migration and address vulnerabilities. Together, we can raise awareness and make it clear that smuggling is a crime and not a service. We can further enhance monitoring of trends, routes, and patterns of smuggling and trafficking. We can improve justice responses and cooperation to dismantle criminal networks and impunity and support victims. UNODC is your partner and is ready to support you in implementing the Cairo Declaration and its action plan. We are your partner as you strive to break the hold of organized crime on migration corridors for the safety and dignity of people everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your very comprehensive intervention. And now I would like to give the floor to Ambassador Angelina Echorost, the head of the EU delegation to Egypt. You have the floor.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to step in for the head of the EU delegation to the Arab Republic of Egypt. The European Union's partnership with Africa is a key priority for the EU. Africa not only shares a rich history with EU countries, but also common values and interests. The migration dialogues continue to be instrumental to the Africa-EU partnership, allowing us to engage in important political and policy dialogues and to define together areas of cooperation. We commend the Egyptian chairmanship of the Khartoum Process for its leadership and its determination in bringing about this ministerial meeting, and we welcome the adoption of the Ministerial Declaration and Action Plan. These documents will guide our work for the years to come and allow for a more focused engagement in critical areas of cooperation. We believe in a comprehensive and balanced approach to migration which promotes all 5 priority areas of the Valletta Action Plan. We also welcome the inclusion of new areas of focus, such as the impact of climate change on migration and mobility and the issue of missing migrants. As proposed in the declaration, we encourage synergies and complementarity with the Rabat process, including through annual joint meetings. Finally, we would also like to warmly welcome France as the new chair of the Khartoum Process, et nous souhaitons vous exprimer tout notre soutien durant votre présidence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and allow me to give the floor to Mr. Michael Kassar, the Deputy Executive Director of the EUAA. You have the floor.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, on behalf of the European Union Agency for Asylum, I would like to sincerely thank you for the invitation to participate in this important ministerial conference. It's a privilege to be here today to reaffirm our shared commitment to addressing migration and asylum in a comprehensive manner. The Khartoum Process plays a pivotal role in fostering dialogue and cooperation on migration between the Horn of Africa and Europe. The EUAA fully supports this objective and remains committed to contributing to its success. Although the agency's core mandate is to support EU member states in implementing the common European asylum system, our engagement extends beyond the EU borders to support also relevant partner countries. In the MENA region, the agency is actively engaged in strengthening asylum and protection frameworks through capacity building via both regional and bilateral cooperation with key partners. At regional level, the EUAA is implementing a regional pilot project for North Africa, which brings together EU member states and key regional partners, including Egypt, Libya, and Tunisia, as well as Algeria and Morocco. This initiative fosters practical cooperation between asylum and reception practitioners through capacity building and knowledge sharing on international protection. As the project comes to a conclusion in June 2025, I would like to express my appreciation for the valuable participation of Egypt, Libya, and Tunisia, as well as of the participating member states, namely Denmark, Czech Republic, Belgium, Italy, Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands. Building on the success of that project, and thanks to the support of Denmark, the agency has now launched a fully fledged regional protection project for the southern neighborhood. This will be from last year all the way to November 2029. We look very much forward to continued collaboration with key regional partners, including Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya, whose engagement will be essential in advancing shared protection efforts in the region. In addition to our regional work, I would like to highlight our bilateral cooperation with Egypt, which remains a cornerstone of our work with partner countries outside the EU. This collaboration, which began in 2017, has evolved through successive roadmaps, providing structured capacity building support to national authorities to enhance the protection space for asylum seekers. This is especially significant given Egypt's recent adoption of a national asylum law and its ongoing transition to a national asylum system. The EUAA remains committed to supporting this process through capacity building efforts. I would also like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to Egypt for the excellent cooperation established. In conclusion, the EUAA reaffirms its commitment to strengthening asylum frameworks, fostering regional cooperation, and supporting protection efforts both bilaterally with Egypt and through regional initiatives. We look forward to further deepening our partnership to assist governments in building sustainable, rights-based protection mechanisms for those in need. We trust that the adoption of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan at this conference will mark an important step towards a comprehensive approach to migration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to give the floor now to Mrs. Sedef Döring, the Deputy Director General of the ICMPD. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Minister Abdelati. Excellencies, distinguished guests, delegates, I am delighted to address you during this second Ministerial Conference of the Khartoum Process. As mentioned by my Director General in his opening remarks, I also wish to express my deep appreciation for the continued trust placed in ICMPD as a committed partner in supporting this valuable dialogue. Drawing on over 30 years of experience, ICMPD has effectively contributed and supported numerous regional processes, including the Budapest process, the Prague process, and the Rabat process, translating policy recommendations into operational realities. From this involvement, we have learned that cooperation on migration works best when it links dialogue at the political level with a sound analysis and with cooperation at the technical level via the delivery of concrete programs and initiatives on the ground. This is crucial. This extensive experience positions ICMPD uniquely to support the Khartoum process and its participating countries in the implementation of the Cairo Action Plan. Through the Khartoum Process Secretariat, ICMPD is aware of the complex migration realities in the Horn of Africa region. These realities, as we all know, are characterized by significant displacement driven by conflict, climate-induced challenges, and socio-economic factors. Addressing these requires robust cooperation, trusted partnerships, and comprehensive strategies that take not only a whole-of-route approach, but also a whole-of-society approach. In this regard, the involvement of the private sector and the civil society is another crucial factor for the success of attempts to steer migration in a safe, regular, and orderly manner. Through our expanding network of offices across the Pan-Africa region, ICMPD delivers tailored, demand-driven technical assistance and advisory services to strengthen institutional capacities at national, regional, and continental levels. Our work focuses on key regional priorities in line with the Cairo Action Plan. As we look forward, ICMPD remains fully committed to supporting the Khartoum process and expanding its engagement in the region. We will continue to leverage our global expertise to address evolving migration dynamics, foster sustainable development, and support the formulation of evidence-based migration policies. In this endeavor, we will continue to put emphasis on empowering partners, joint leadership, shared responsibility, co-creation, and building sustainable, strong partnerships that work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Director General. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Osman Bilbisi, the Regional Director of the IOM. You have the floor.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, migration is an intrinsic part of our global society. When well managed, it yields substantial benefits, not only for migrants, but also for their countries of origin and destination. To fully harness this potential, we must confront the alarming issues of migrant smuggling and trafficking in persons. As emphasized in the Joint Valletta Action Plan, this plan underscored the need to tackle the root causes of irregular migration while simultaneously facilitating legal pathways, enhancing protection and asylum systems, and ensuring that return, readmission, and reintegration processes are conducted safely and with dignity. These components together form a comprehensive approach to migration that is crucial to achieving success. Currently, we are witnessing a troubling situation of migrants along many migration routes. Many individuals are facing extreme conditions by human traffickers and smugglers who exploit their vulnerabilities. In this context, we must celebrate the Egyptian chairmanship and its leadership, particularly in prioritizing the creation of legal pathways and combating trafficking and smuggling. Addressing these priorities is vital to empowering migrants to travel safely and to minimize their dependence on untrusted brokers who abuse their desperation. IOM is fully committed to partnering with countries in tackling the multifaceted challenges of migration. We recognize that the responses we implement in one region significantly influence others, highlighting why effective migration management cannot be a solitary endeavor. This understanding solidifies the importance of the Khartoum process as a crucial platform for developing comprehensive solutions. As we move forward, we will continue our support to the Khartoum process. Our ongoing presence along the migration routes, coupled with our role as a coordinator of the UN Network on Migration, embodies our commitment to a comprehensive approach in implementing the interregional and as well as the global frameworks, such as the Global Compact for Migration, and I thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I give the floor to Mrs. Hanan Hamdan, the UNHCR representative in Egypt. You have the floor.
Thank you. Excellency Dr. Abdelati, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Egyptian expats, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. On behalf of UNHCR, I wish to express my deep appreciation to the Arab Republic of Egypt as the Khartoum Process Chair for the productive past year and to commend all the achievements accomplished by the participating member states. I would like also to extend my warm welcome to France as the incoming chair of the Khartoum process. UNHCR truly values the opportunity to engage with all the Khartoum process members, and we look forward to continuing our active engagement under the new chairmanship of France. Our thanks goes to as well to ICMPD for the active engagement. In our world torn by violence, pressure on humanitarian financing, and erosion of trust in multilateral dialogue, the strong and high-level participation at this Khartoum process meeting is itself a powerful message. It reminds us that political will and multilateral cooperation are essential to addressing the root causes of displacement and fully leveraging the potential of regular migration. In this context, I would like to deliver three main messages. First, the need of international protection along the key route through Africa remains acute. The number of people forcibly displaced in the world reached the record of 122.6 million in 2024, including some 43.7 million refugees. Since the start of the conflict in Sudan in 2023, some 12.7 million people have been displaced, including 3.7 million refugees, asylum seekers, and returnees who have sought protection in countries represented here today. The Horn of Africa represents a stark example of how climate change and conflict are covering to exacerbate displacement. Among those in need of international protection, the situation of unaccompanied children and separated children, women and girls remain a key challenge. Second, effective and predictable responses to these realities require a broader whole-of-route approach. UNHCR welcomes the mention made in Cairo Declaration and the action plan of the whole-of-route approach to respond more effectively and predictably, to shift towards more humane and effective responses, to save lives and reduce harm among the routes, and to provide alternatives to dangerous journeys. This is achieved through strengthened asylum and refugee and human rights-oriented migration management systems, including concrete actions to counter smuggling and trafficking, and delivering better outcomes for those on the move, affected communities and states alike. The route-based approach calls for regular pathways to be equally accessible for refugees as an essential alternative to dangerous journey. Third, strengthening the protection provided by states to refugees is key. While welcoming the generosity of Khartoum Process countries and hosting refugees and those displaced, UNHCR calls for continued access to territory and protection of the rights of refugees and migrants along mixed movement routes. Protection services are critical in the region. Too many refugees are struggling to secure documentation, face restrictions to their movement, and lack essential services such as health, food and education. Trauma among refugees is heightened as they receive limited support. UNHCR calls for continued generosity in hosting and supporting refugees as they are unable, for fear of harm, to return to their countries of origin and habitual residence. Finally, I would like to conclude on actionable activities that UNHCR can engage in to advance the implementation of the Cairo Action Plan in priority areas. UNHCR stands ready to work with states, with the International Organization for Migration, IOM, and other partners in advancing the route-based approach through joint programs in countries of origin, asylum, transit, and destination. These programs will prioritize intervention for strengthening protection, addressing trafficking and smuggling, and giving hope and opportunities for refugees and migrants to avert dangerous journeys. UNHCR encourages the replication of network of national points for missing migrants of Rabat process within the scope of Khartoum process. When mobility becomes tragedy and death strikes along the routes, transnational and multi-actors coordination and state leadership can make a difference for affected families. In this regard, we urge the Khartoum and Rabat process to address the central issues of maritime rescue and the safety of life of refugees and migrants moving by the sea. UNHCR welcomes the vital attention given to the adverse impact of climate change on the displacement of Khartoum process states and stands ready to support legal, policy and protection responses that address the rights of those displaced. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Victoria Anib, the Social Development Division Head of IGAD.
Thank you, Excellency. Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, all protocol observed. On behalf of His Excellency, Dr. Warkeni Gabayo, Executive Secretary of IGAD, I warmly greet everyone and express my deep appreciation for your ongoing commitment to promoting regional and international collaboration in migration governance. Over the years, the Khartoum process has served as an essential platform for political dialogue, cooperation, and knowledge sharing between Europe and the Horn of Africa regarding complex dynamic of migration and displacement. We welcome the adoption of the Cairo Declaration, which reaffirms our collective commitment and recognition of the regional dimensions in addressing mixed migration flows and international protection. We particularly resonate with the Declaration's acknowledgement of the severe impact of climate change, pandemics, protracted crises, and conflicts on human mobility, leading to forced displacement and irregular movements. These are critical challenges that IGAD member states grapple with daily. Currently, the IGAD region has one of the highest concentrations of displaced individuals, with estimates exceeding 27 million people, including over 21 million internally displaced and more than 6 million refugees. We recognize the urgent need for concerted efforts to mitigate the consequences of protracted crisis, conflicts and war on forced displacement and irregular migratory movements. We are also cognizant of the declining humanitarian funding, particularly by the disbandment of USAID and other budgetary cuts, which further intensify the migratory pressure and compound the vulnerabilities of migrants, refugees, and forcibly displaced persons. Now more than ever, it is incumbent upon us to act together to ensure that protection reduces irregular migration and to promote safe, orderly, and regular migration. The commitments outlined in the declaration serve as a guiding principle for shared responsibility. IGAD celebrates the pursuit for effective and well-governed migration policies as a way to unlock the mutual benefits of mobility. The principles of solidarity, cooperation, and shared burden and responsibility must remain central to our efforts. This ensures alignment with international frameworks such as the 1951 Refugee Convention, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and the African Union Agenda 2063. We commend the declaration's focus on strengthening partnership for timely, humane, and dignified return, readmission, and reintegration in line with international law and human rights principles, including non-refoulement. As IGAD, we view sustainable reintegration as a vital human imperative that enhances regional stability, livelihood, and resilience. IGAD is committed to continuing to support its member states as they address the challenges and opportunities related to migration. We will continue to collaborate with partners like the EU and African Union to promote evidence-based policies, capacity building, and regional cooperation. I thank the Arab Republic of Egypt for hosting this conference and commend its outstanding work as the outgoing chair. I also wish France all the best in its new role as the chair, and I equally acknowledge the great work of ICMPD. In conclusion, IGAD reaffirms its strong commitment to the Khartoum process and expresses its support to implementing the associated plan of action. We encourage a continuous innovation and adaptation to address migration challenges, highlighting the importance of regional cooperation, inclusivity, and humanity in our efforts. I thank you all.
Thank you so much. And now the last speaker on my list, Mr. Guillaume Philip Alexander, the head of unit of Frontex. You have the floor.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Excellencies, Ministers, it's a great pleasure for me to be representing Frontex here in this monumental city of New Cairo. I would like to start by thanking our Egyptian hosts for extending their wonderful hospitality to us, as well as for the outstanding job in successfully steering this process forward over the past year. This work is of particular significance when seen with the backdrop of the Egyptian government's considerable efforts in managing migration by hosting and addressing the needs of the massive migrant population present in the country, whilst also very successfully preventing irregular migrant departures from its shores. Frontex is the European Border and Coast Guard Agency, which focuses its work around three pillars: situation awareness, through monitoring of the situation at EU external borders, combined with a comprehensive risk analysis; operations and support to EU countries in managing the EU's external borders; returns of those who have exhausted their legal right to stay in the EU, and their reintegration in their country of origin. The agency's mandate has developed significantly over the years, in particular widening the range of activities that it may carry out with countries that do not border the EU. This latest 2019 mandate also introduced the European Union's own uniformed service, the European Border and Coast Guard Standing Corps. Currently, Frontex counts 1,200 staff in Warsaw, in its HQ, and about 3,000 in operations on the external borders and neighboring countries. The Khartoum process has proven itself to be instrumental for the cooperation in the area of migration between the European Union and Eastern Africa. On its part, Frontex reaffirms its commitment to support the process and activities implemented under domains 4 and 5 of the Joint Valletta Action Plan, in substance fights against trafficking and smuggling of migrants, and return and reintegration. As a matter of fact, Frontex is responsible for the implementing of the EU reintegration program, which helps individuals who return to their home countries re-establish their lives by providing a range of support services for accommodation to starting a business, helping returnees to integrate into their communities and build a sustainable future. Within the 5 partner countries of the Khartoum process participating in EURP, 381 returnees benefited from this support in 2024, and the numbers are growing. Following the first ministerial conference of the process just held over 10 years ago in 2014, we feel that it is indeed the right time to renew our commitments and to deepen the cooperation in the area of migration in order to ensure that the Khartoum process maintains its mission of being an action-oriented dialogue. Frontex commends the sterling work undertaken by the Chair, as well as the Secretariat, in steering the discussions that have led to today's adoption of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan. At this juncture, I would like to conclude by thanking ICMPD for their brilliant support in steering the process, by congratulating the Egyptian Chair on its achievements, and turn to the incoming French Chair to wish it all the best as it prepares to lead the process over the coming month. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite His Excellency Minister Abdel-Ati to outline what the adoption of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan means for the future of the Khartoum process. Excellency, please.
Thank you so much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now move to the adoption of the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan, two milestone documents that represent significant breakthroughs within the framework of the Khartoum process for a number of reasons. First, the Cairo Ministerial Declaration serves a twofold purpose. It reviews past achievement, including fields of cooperation covered beyond the Rome Declaration and the joint Valletta Action Plan. It also sets forward-looking goals outlining the principles and areas that require further attention. It calls for regular ministerial meetings in order to enhance visibility of the Khartoum process and bolster its relevance. Of equal importance, the Cairo Action Plan translates these priorities into strategic implementation framework under each domain of the Valletta Plan of Action to consider in future activities. Together, these two documents embody our commitment and mutual trust as partners. Most importantly, they reflect our continued commitment and determination as partners in this process to promote safe, orderly, and regular migration, while respecting and catering to the diverse needs of African and European countries. In light of this, I now propose that we adopt the Cairo Ministerial Declaration and the Cairo Action Plan. Are there any objections? I see no objection. Therefore, both documents have been adopted.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will pause now for a short technical break. You are kindly invited to remain seated while we prepare the podium for the ceremony to hand over the chairmanship from Egypt to France.